Which
the
actually
city.
crazy is while we were talking here, so none of this is like it's all happening literally right now because we're talking about Israel apparently went and bombed 3 places in Iran, which are like the locations of their top nuclear research facilities.
Oh,
yeah,
That's a risky place to bomb, right?
World War III is like that's like if World War III is back on the menu, boys.
so I keep seeing
Should have a
children on
draft.
Reddit. I keep seeing children on Reddit like joke about how like, yeah, it's World War III this time, right? Dude, it has never been like this before in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Same. This is the most World War III shit going on
This
right now.
is ridiculously close. Like if you look at, there's like
Fingers crossed nothing happens.
there's a clear group of Axis powers and a not so cohesive and motivated group of allied powers, and they're all sort of tightening up and ratcheting things up all around the world, whether it's China, Russia, or Iran. And North Korea is always a problem for some reason.
I feel like there's a lot of weight carried, a
'Cause-
lot of weight being carried in my mind, a lot of weight carried on U.S. boats. I'm like, those boats are really crazy, right?
Yeah.
like one of those ships can destroy a whole country, right? That's what these things are. The super destroyers or
Pretty
whatever.
much.
They're basically like,
Are those nuclear submarines?
yeah, because they go and they like park one in like the Mediterranean, and they're like, no one, not anyone. And then, like, I assume.
I don't want a war, though. I don't want a real war.
No, of course. Every country postures so that there isn't a war, and Israel's so the type of country to be like, yeah, but we're going to go bomb that because that's crazy.
As
they
anyway.
did that. They did that with Saddam Hussein.
They didn't
like
have
the
to
80s.
strike back. They didn't have to strike back like that thing.
No, because they defended it so well that it sent the message. It didn't have to have a response.
Dude, I don't know when Israel found out that Iran was going to send those drones and missiles, but I found out 2 days before it happened from Reddit.
It's so crazy.
From Reddit. And they didn't say one of those like murky things like there's the potential for an Iranian strike. And 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, who knows? They were like, this week the Iranians are striking. And they waited to the
On
end
Twitter,
of the
they're like,
holiday.
there's clips of the drones leaving.
Here's how measured look, I'm not defending Iran, but here's how measured their strike was. It was just to save face with their own people. Clearly, they waited till the moment that the Jewish holidays ended at midnight. And then it was midnight their time. And then they launched nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
99% of it was stopped. Like they said a 7-year-old girl was injured. She's fine. I promise.
I think Iran has like the capability to defend itself from like a on the ground invasion very, very effectively, but I don't think they have the ability to project power across the region.
No,
like
they knew about that this was coming. They knew that Israel was contemplating targeting their nuclear facilities. But you, Taylor,
now
you bought them stealth bombers.
I bought them stealth bombers. I just sent out a check earlier this week.
All the tax money that you ever spent in your entire life flew one stealth bomber. Approximately 4 seconds. Yeah, not even.
It was the paint job.
For an eighth of a second.
Not even the paint job. No way. The paint job. No.
You paid for that guy's.
Some senator's uncle, his firm got the paint job for $1 million per wing.
Like one Iron Dome rocket is basically all the tax money that like.
Yeah, if not way more. Like it's hopefully this does not actually pop off because a world war would be horrific.
So Iran's going to hit back now. And they promised earlier this week that their next attack would be 100 times more powerful than their first attack. And so now they're going to attack again. Israel just struck Iran and hit 3 nuclear facilities.
Unfolding. Wow. So that's what it said. The 3 places in Iran. So everyone's like, oh, those are the nuclear facilities there.
I hope Biden pulls some support, right? Because the way my understanding.
Genocide Joe?
Yeah. So
Syria and Iran.
What happened is Iran wanted everyone to say let me start over. Iran seemingly wanted everyone to think they attacked Israel. We all knew Iran was attacking. We knew it. The 4 of us all knew that attack was coming. So they launched some bullshit attack full of drones that are easily shot down. U.S. shoots them down. Saudi Arabia shoots them down. United Arab Emirates shoots them down. Then obviously Israel shoots them down with the stuff we give them. and nobody's hurt. A couple missiles fall harmlessly in the sand. Biden tells Israel, hey, take the win. Just like fucking let this settle. You don't have to kick back at Iran. Let this relax. They didn't really attack you. They pretended to attack you. And if it had died there, Iran could have taken the win, said, look at these fucking flaccid bullshit, try and deal with us. They're not on my level. But no, now they have to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. Who knows where this escalates to? So how is, I know Biden's not running this war, but like he has an influence on it. I want Biden to somehow settle this shit down. And I feel like Israel just gave us the middle finger and said, oh, did you, because Biden told him, take the win. Look, you won, take the win. And they're like, I have another idea. You suck a dick and I'll kick Iran's ass. And that's where we are.
Yeah, and you'll keep giving us money. And
I don't believe that though.
I'm listening.
I think all these decisions, I think those two countries make decisions together. As much as it looks one way or it's handled one way on the outside, like Israel is America's little like pet attack dog in that area.
I'm listening.
And it's just it's.
So you don't think Israel?
I don't think America wants Iran
like
to
more
have
of the bitch in the relationship based on the history. Like they do whatever they want and then we cover it.
But there's an element of looking like a bitch that is not really concerning to higher ups these days. That's not like a big deal in that sense. It is what it is. I think I don't think the US wants Iran to have nuclear capabilities. I don't think anyone in office in the US wants Iran to have nukes.
All right, so you've opened my mind. I do see it as feasible that America wants the world to think we didn't want this really.
Of course not, and it's people. But you don't remember? There's this thing, Operation
Genocide
Opera.
Joe playing 3D chess. You heard it here first, folks.
They way back in early 80s, late 70s, they were shopping around the F-16 fighter jets. And they were bringing around the U.S. was like $25 million, 1979 money. We don't want this. We're not at war. Why would we want $25 million fighter jets? And like Israel came in and they're like, yo, we'll take 4 of those. Took them, like figured them out, learned them, whatever. They'd exercise it, and like within a couple of years of getting them, flew them to Iraq and bombed a nuclear facility that was in the midst of being built. And the idea was that like this nuclear energy would be able to take that country and elevate it to such a level. And they were just like, nah, we don't trust them. And they bombed it. And the entire world was like, dude, you're literally trying to start World War III. You can't, like, once again, it's like, you can't, it's like me defending myself or just beating someone up in a fight or like some kid. And my dad grabbing me and be like, what are you doing? We raised you better than that. Give me some skin, brother. Like, down low. And don't you ever do that again. Grounded. And then getting in the car, closing the door, like, so you want ice cream? I feel like that's the vibe, because that happened. Everyone shit on it. But then it's like the whole like Iraq was all about weapons of mass destruction. We're looking for weapons of mass destruction. The whole thing was like looking for weapons of mass destruction. But imagine they had a nuclear reactor from 20 years ago built. Well, then the whole, I mean, well, you wouldn't be able to, I'm just saying like that whole nuclear, like you never wanted them to have nukes. And anyone building a nuclear reactor, we all know it's for nukes. And Israel's got secret nukes. They are that type of country.
I don't think Israel had to enrich uranium to get their nukes. I think we fucking mailed them some nuclear weapons that say Acme atomic weapon number 3 made in the USA, and we had. I think they didn't make their own.
There were some things, some reports, even like the U.S. went to go inspect. They went to go inspect if there was nukes being made or whatever. They got in the building and there was like whole ass walls built or like that were there. And the guys are like, oh, on the blueprints, there's supposed to be more room here. And they're like, no, that's a wall, dude. You're tripping. But it's like they're hiding nukes for sure.
If Israel was like behaving at all at our behest at this point, or the Biden administration, however you want to put it, like, and it was them doing it in that circuitous way, like the Biden administration would have been like, hey, nothing at all until after November. None of this. None of it at all. We're not going to jeopardize, because a big giant world war is not popular with the voting public. People don't want that. And so we're doing none of this. So to me, it seems like Israel does.
Kamala loses World War III.
It seems like Israel often does whatever they want.
Taylor, what if I said big wars always skyrocket a president's popularity?
I think it depends on the war. Like,
at first it does.
Know. Yeah.
I don't think now we're like at the information time where even like the last war or invasion that U.S. was part of, we look back at like, oh, that was weird.
I feel like America has war fatigue, and there isn't a big appetite for it right now. But when I think of all the wars, Iraq 1, Iraq 2, Afghanistan, I'm too young for Vietnam. That's weird. But all the wars that I've lived through, God, people fucking rally around the flag. They love it. Will it happen
Rock,
this time?
flag, eagle.
It feels like they won't, but they always do.
I don't think people want it. And so it would reflect badly on Biden and his guys if he was telling Israel to do this, which is why I don't think that.
Well, you have two choices. Your government either you believe in your head that they don't want war, or they think it's necessary to take other countries' power away. Like, those could lead to the same thing. Like, essentially, I don't imagine that a country like Iran, which is like a proxy to enemies of the USA, that they would want them to have and harness the ultimate power on the planet. Like, that's the top power.
They don't want them
and that country fucking sucks. That's a shit. Iranian people are no. The country, fuck that country. The people are fine. The people are different from the government, and that we have to say that all the time. But the current government in Iran, this is the regime that, if you remembered months ago, the young girls out in public not wearing a hijab, so they beat her up, put her in a coma, and she dies in the hospital. This is a regime that routinely kills their youth for revolting or wanting freedom in any shape or form. This is the regime with the morale police that go around and actively, intimidate and scare and beat up and kill women and children for not doing what they're supposed to do as per, the religious doctrine.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are Iran backwards.
Yeah, I love Iran. But the thing is, it's not the people that are running it.
I'll take that side with you. Let's do it. All right, first I need to figure out what are they all about? What kind of?
Well, first of all, you should get the name right. It's the Islamic Republic of Iran.
That's true. No, it is. Yeah, that is. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but Islamic Republic as like a prefix over there. That's like the way they put like football club, like in Europe on all their teams. Something FC. It's just
I hope that Harley is right, but I think that everybody's been flying by the seat of their pants since October 7th, and it's this is just all reactionary. And BB is in election year, I think, maybe, and he's just going to let heads roll. He doesn't care. He feels like now's the
Trump
time.
shit. He's going to do some Trump shit and be like, I'm not leaving office until this war's over.
Do you remember this? It might have been the night of the State of the Union afterwards, where he was like, Netanyahu's going to have a come to Jesus meeting. Like, do you remember that? It was like a hot mic secret catch. Mm-hmm. Now, either Harley's off target with this, or the hot mic secret catch is all part of the ruse.
I don't think he'd be part of the ruse. I would think
he killed him the first time.
He's like, I feel like this is like, I don't believe anyone that works in politics. I don't believe anyone. And I don't believe we get enough of a picture to make an accurate aspect. So I try and break it down to the most basic thing possible. And I'm like, ultimately, what would be more important to the US than Iran not having nukes? I can't think of anything else that would be more important right now on the brink of World War III, that another enemy of the country doesn't harness that power. So I'm just assuming then that's how it is. And I do think Israel for sure has to act out of line, because if you are the one outpost in the middle of the Middle East that is an ally to the US, you kind of understand your leverage. Let's be honest, they're Jews,
UAE.
You understand. Yeah, but it's not quite like Israel. Israel's literally like
Egypt.
Yeah. We give
like
them
Israel's
our
on the US's lap. Like they're sitting on their lap.
Chad.
Chad's in Africa.
But like these are
Close
like
enough,
like think about
Nobody knows for
Jordan.
sure, Taylor.
I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy when Egypt
How dare
and
you.
Jordan, countries like Egypt and Jordan are like, yeah,
Geo-Nazi.
Israel over Iran. That's bizarre to me.
Yeah, I don't see the value a lot of people in politics seem to with our like undying money giving allegiance to Israel. It's like I don't see what we get out of it as American
I don't
people.
understand why it's so much money.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the U.S. has to spend so much money. But then again, I'm sure if I broke down every aspect of the government, I'd be like, that's a lot of money spent on.
And look at
this
how
and that,
particularly Republicans respond to Israel issues in America. Like they'll be like, "Hey, Senator, whatever the fuck, Republican from Iowa, 60,000 people in the Midwest died from opioids smuggled in through the south of the border," and they're like, "That's a damn shame. We got to do something about that." And then they're like, "Hey, this country 3,000 miles away needs money," and they're like, "You'll have to carry me out on my shield before I turn down money to Israel." And it's like, this is unbelievable.
because it's like, you know what? It's beyond personal. It becomes religious at that point, and there's some sort of religious connection being made. Also,
Oh,
it
yeah.
has all the workings
It's the Holy
for
Land.
World
It is-
War III shit. It's like really
It's where
fucked up.
Christ is coming back, right? Taylor, help me out here. Isn't Christ supposed to come back over there? Like isn't
No.
he supposed to be reborn? No?
No.
Or he
No,
comes
there-
back. He's coming to America.
There are some
He's
evangelicals
coming to
who believe
America.
that. But that comes down to like biblical interpretation.
Well,
Like,
I wasn't asking for your personal opinion.
No, I'm saying like it comes down to biblical interpretation. If you're like
Definitely not.
no man will know the day or the hour. But like traditionally,
I
up
can
until,
tell if
like,
he's here though. If the Sixers win, my prayers came true. So
Yep, that's how you'll know. But like up in like traditionally, like Israel, as it's referenced in the Bible, is like that. Those are people who are saved. That's the church. Like it's referring to Israel in that way. It's relatively recent amongst particularly evangelical Christians, like a lot of these megachurch guys, in the past, 80, 100 years.
Zechariah 14:4 states, on that day, his feet will stand on the mountain of olives east of Jerusalem, and the mountain of olives will be split in two.
Yeah.
Let's find that mountain
not
real quick.
coming back. Hold on.
That mountain of olives?
What I'm addressing is like this idea that a lot of evangelical Christians have that like Israel as a country as it exists geopolitically in 2024 is like a war there is going to trigger the end times.
oh,
Like, and that is what historically Christianity did not believe this. Like Israel as it's referenced there in the Bible is like, that's the church. Those are the followers of Christ, the people.
I didn't see him in the
of
picture,
Israel.
so we're probably good for now.
Taylor,
Yeah, I didn't see him there either.
I didn't understand what you were saying. That historically, evangelicals said they're going to come back to Israel, right?
I'm saying that like in the past 150 years, like
Okay.
evangelicals, Christians in particular, have like formed a belief that Israel is a plot of land in the Middle East. And that is like penultimately what it is. It's not the way in the Bible Israel is used to refer to followers of Christ, like the way that Jesus said, like the church isn't a place you go. The church is you, the people, my followers, my believers. That is the church. Similarly with Israel, he meant like my followers, like that's what it was. Not this one plot of land in the Middle East. Something's going to kick off there specifically, and then that will be the undoing of all.
I understood that Zechariah passage to mean that Christ will come back on the Mountain of Olives through some sort
He'll
of
make some
gateway they've got
stops.
there.
He'll make some stops.
Well,
Yeah,
that's where
he's
gonna, like,
he's
show up.
gonna pop
And
around.
That's also
He's a little
where
like Santa Claus. He visits everybody.
Yeah, but
the
this
spot
like
where Jesus was crucified is there too. Though it's on
I
another little
don't-
hill in Jerusalem.
yeah, I don't agree with the interpretation. I'm saying that the geopolitical existence of Israel as a state in 2024 is this crux of, and like where, and their standing with Iran has to do with the end times. But if you look at a lot of evangelicals in particular, that's their belief. They think, oh, when something kicks off in this country, end times begin.
Well,
And there are some people who are like actively rooting for that.
well, of course, you want the Lord to come back and save you, right? You don't want to sit down there in purgatory or wherever the fuck waiting to go to heaven. Nobody's in heaven. We talk about that a lot, but nobody's there yet.
Nobody's
There's like a
there yet.
handful of famous people in the Bible You know, they got like a
Moses,
personal, like
Moses is up there. Abraham's up there.
Who took the fiery chariot?
My
up
grandmother,
to
I
heaven?
think.
No, she's in the ground. She's in the ground in purgatory. Like all the souls.
It's not until the end times that they'll be raptured to heaven.
I don't see this news anywhere.
Elijah is
The
who
Israel
went up
thing?
to heaven in a fiery chariot.
Yeah, they attacked apparently on the way to Iran.
He gets
They
a special
attacked Syria
line
and Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
I
He's
shot
in the
the phone- I
fucking.
shot the
He's
phone
in
with my rabbi.
in the group
He
chat.
hits that Star of David on his phone and
Yeah.
immediately gets the up to date shit.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
hello, patch me through to the tunnels.
Patch me through to the tunnels. Careful. The Gentiles are getting too close. They're going to figure out what we're up to down here.
I wish they hadn't done it. I know I might be
Of
wrong.
course, no, me
Maybe
too.
I'm
Like,
missing,
They blocked, they swatted away all the flies that there was no other message that had to be
and
sent.
they told them they were doing it.
They
like,
must have. They did.
It
They
was
told
such
them.
an open secret. Everybody knew.
No. But Iran also knew after that Israel was going to
Something
target
bad's
their
going to happen this
nuclear. Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, so is this a thing where it's like you bait them into, like, are they baited
Iran is
into
going to-
anything?
Iran's going to strike again. I bet they sink a boat or something. Like they seem to be more adept at sinking commercial stuff and pirating commercial stuff than like striking Israel proper. But they're going to do something big and scary. They said they would. They can't not now. It's like the playground all over again. Like Billy spit on Tommy. Tommy said if Billy spit on him, he was going to kick his ass, and he spit all over him over there. Here it comes.
I see it more like, I forgot the players' names, but Billy said he was going to spit on Tommy, completely missed him. Yet Tommy still feels compelled to have a big fight because he can't fucking take a win.
Yeah, it was just a little spittle.
He missed. We deflected it.
No one even got wet.
There was wind or something. Like
It was wind.
it didn't get him. He missed entirely. He could just be like, yeah, you know what? He failed to spit on me. We're gonna let it end there. They could have.
I can't imagine how off it is to be in Gaza right now. Like that's just. I'm glad we're here. My dad used to always say that. Like, I mean, probably still does, I guess. But he's like, we'd be out on like a bright sunny day. He's like, so glad we're here. So happy that we're here, and not like in Iraq or Afghanistan fighting for nonsense, or any of the awful places on the planet there are to be. Just to be like out in a field, like, I don't know, riding a tractor or something, doing exactly what you wanted to do.
It's just cool that I was here on PKA when World War III started.
Yeah, we'll remember this. We'll tell our grandkids what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Imagine
back
how
in
much
the day were these people called Jews.
I remember.
See, they don't exist anymore. But one.
I remember when World War III.
They're like
started,
elves.
It was an okay
except
topic,
pointy
but then we
noses.
transitioned to fake Game of Thrones, and
Is it true they lived under the ground, Papa? Yes, son. That is
Some
true.
people believe there are
There was
no
a
Jew
tunnel
women.
right here.
They just spring out the tunnels in the ground. How many, if the U.S. got in a real deal boots on the ground war with multiple countries, like how many do you think we could win? Like, I'm going to list countries, and you tell me when this aggregate amount of countries.
So
could
let
no
me go
longer
first, because I think the United
defeated
States can
by the
beat the
US.
entire planet by themselves.
No, that's not
yeah.
true.
There's a whole YouTube video about it.
Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah, go to
Some
there's-
fucking some
Taylor.
retard
It's
on
on
YouTube with like
YouTube.
fucking bullshit graphics was like, how the US can win against the whole world. Step one, be an idiot on YouTube. Like, step one, be a fucking mouth breathing retard online that uses
I
fucking
hope to
battlegrounds.
God someone used us as a source in an argument that they won.
no, it's that
It's like
Binkoff's
someone-
Battlegrounds channel. That's
It
all
says
they do.
here
is they do
Michelle
battle
Obama's the
simulations.
hottest first wife.
Hi, welcome to US is the best military on earth channel. And here's 10 reasons why we're the best and we could beat China, Russia, England, France, Germany, South Africa, Nigeria. Like,
Counting a lot of
Every
countries that don't
country?
matter because they can't come over here
every
and do
country
anything.
on earth would butt fuck us, dude. Like, dude, that's
How?
that's laughable. That
You
we
should
would
watch
beat
the
world.
video.
Well, wait. Are we defensive or offensive?
If we're playing against the whole world, we're going to be on the defensive.
Okay, so how do they get us?
China land invasion. Russia has
Whoa,
nuked
land invasion.
the United Kingdom
Hang on,
has an air force.
Let's start at your first country. China land invasion. So they're going to pile in boats and cross the Pacific Ocean. At no point will the most powerful navy ever will ignore.
Thank God the most powerful navy won't have other things on its plate like Saudi Arabia and Russia and
what
India.
What would Saudi Arabia do? How would the Saudis get here, Taylor?
India, China.
They have no way to get here.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't. We are the people who are able to land in another country with an entire army full of tanks and everything that supports them and all those battle groups. No one else does that or can.
Dude, a global war, we straight up don't have goods. We have no manufacturing. We will not win. That's insane to think the U.S. can win.
We can beat the rest of the country.
We want to shift to a wartime economy.
But here's the thing that's true. We have 11 aircraft carriers, and the rest of the planet combined has what, 3?
Yeah, but they're not as good as ours.
And they're not as good as ours.
And the Russian one and the Chinese one don't count.
That's true.
I think the Russian one's broken or gone.
It's broken. And the Chinese one is a Russian one, and it has a ramp on the end.
Now, do you think that China might make a lot more if they started a war with the U.S.?
They're going to be manufacturing things while they fight us.
Yes, why would we allow a huge amount of manufacturing happening during war?
When the Cold War kind of petered out, they took all those nuclear submarines, the ones that were carrying ICBMs, and they converted half of them to missile submarines. So each of them carries 140 Tomahawk cruise missiles. They're scattered across the planet in the water. Nobody knows where. Lately, we've been doing this thing where we surface just to freak people out. How would they have any manufacturing? How are they going to be producing new arms? And I keep going back to this. They have to get here. They have to get here.
I mean, as far as manufacturing, they have more manufacturing capability than
I think Kyle's saying we'll quickly reverse that. We have submarines off the coast of China, and we'll take out their whatever.
Their infrastructure, their electricity grid.
Manufacturing.
But now we're I don't know. But
we invented the internet. I bet we're capable of some pretty good technological.
We don't make most of the shit we need.
We make we've shifted to making most of our electronics.
You think that we get total embargoed from every other country and we are able to fight? No, our economy gets destroyed. Our ability to import goods, precious metals, services from other places. That we need to be able to make these electronics. Where are we getting these precious metals now? South Africa, we're at war with them. Russia, we're at war with them. India, we're at war with them. Nigeria, we're at war. We wouldn't have the raw capacity for it. Canada's at war with us. That everyone's at war with us.
Come on. Oh, no.
Now we're fucked.
No, I was
just saying that. I was saying more, even Canada.
You're gonna
the Mounties are gonna take Maine when we're distracted.
To me, you just keep coming back to this situation where their missiles won't work. They can't get here because there's no way we allow boats full of people to cross the Pacific Ocean. Hawaii's in the middle. The entire Pacific fleet's there.
That's true. Hawaii's never been attacked.
There isn't. If you took all the navies of the world, ours still wins way easy. They don't get to use the water. We take the water right away. The water's ours.
Manufacturing in wartime works is not you start a war with a net amount of stuff.
It's not World War II, Taylor. We don't need to make new planes. We're not going to be losing that many. We're here defensively. They're coming to us.
We're not gonna win a war against the world defensively. You have to conquer the world. That's what you.
No, we have to make them. We have to make them surrender.
I feel like lots of people would
all our wars.
That's how Afghanistan and Iraq.
I guess it comes down to I was in my question. I was meaning if we're taking on the world as the U.S., a win is not the U.S. maintaining itself. The win would be defeating the world.
We would defeat them. They would surrender.
That's not China anymore. That's the 78th state.
I think the United States would defeat the entire world and they would surrender.
Do we own their land afterwards, or do they just say, never mind?
I mean, there'd be a negotiated peace, right? They'd have to make us financially right, and there'd be some trade agreements agreed upon. Whatever we allow.
Oh, shit. So you're not going for just they decide attacking was a bad idea.
Oh, it was a very bad idea.
Well, okay, I guess, but stopping there, one way to win the war would be for them to be you know what? we're done attacking. This sucked. We have so much deaths. Our economy's terrible. Let's just go back to where we were before. That'd be a win.
Yeah, I don't think we would,
but not in this
go,
scenario.
Go with that.
I'm meaning like
you want a more.
This is like at the end of
win.
it, China is the United States, and I don't think there's any way the U.S. is strong enough to conquer the world. There's just no way.
Well, the conquering thing, of course, I don't see our army sweeping the globe like a video game and just being over everyone, making a one world government under the American flag. I don't think anybody can do that. What I'm saying is if the world all declared war on us and they had to come here and make us surrender, they couldn't. Maybe with nuclear weapons, we could all die together. But if we take nuclear weapons off the table,
loss. But if you
that's
take a draw, actually.
Yeah,
that would be a draw.
But if you take nuclear weapons off the table, I just don't think the entire world can get here. You're like, the Saudis. Oh yeah, those guys
economically they can destroy us.
So we go to a wartime economy and establish martial law when it's us versus the planet. There's no more economy or anything like that. The federal government.
Well, there is. Everything. You need goods. You need like funds moving around. You need to be
all federalized. Everything would be federalized. And
as soon as we go to war with the world, the dollar is destroyed because no.
Why would we care what the dollar does? The dollar would be very stable because it's traded in one place, right here in the homeland.
No,
all those dollars out there
and Venezuela and all these countries took oil
because most of them exist outside this country wouldn't be in play anymore. I'm telling you, it's a different scenario if you're talking about the United States being defensive against the whole world. The economy is not going to matter. There isn't an economy. It's martial law. We're working to live. We're fighting for our lives.
No, but there is an economy. It's about being able to import sufficient goods to keep the everyday maintenance of complex systems moving. And when that fails, you have infrastructure problems in the homeland. Like it would not take that long for the U.S. if we're waging war across the world to be fucked.
We're not waging war across the world again. We're fighting this defensive war where they're dropping like flies as our border getting swatted like a bug zapper.
Even so, like we
what do we need to make? Like, what do we need? So semiconductors,
guns, bullets, fucking food.
All right. Now you've lost. Now we're gonna run out of guns and bullets.
We're gonna run out of materials because we
don't
number one importer
of those things here. What do we need? Like specifically, not oil. We're one of the biggest.
The chips that are currently made in Taiwan.
We need the chips that are made in Taiwan. We need the metals to make the chips that are not mined in the U.S. We need huge amounts of goods. We
need lithium for our electric cars.
We need the lithium. We need that lithium. The Sudan mine or whatever.
I'm just not buying it, and I don't see a scenario in which we couldn't go get the things we wanted by force if we wanted to. That's what that'd
be fun. You see a shipment of lithium and you just make it come here.
Yeah,
you just take it. Meanwhile, the rest of the world where you're not invading at the time, their economy's fine.
We're not
they're
invading
able
anywhere.
To produce and manufacture.
No, they're not. I think you're underestimating how scary the United States military is and the power that we would have economically if we disappeared from the planet and the dollar disappeared from the planet. And I don't know what we could do as far as the cyber attacks, but you would imagine that we're pretty crucial to the world internet system. And I think we win. I don't think they can get us. I don't think they can get here.
I think defensively we win. Yeah.
I'm not afraid of the Canadians. There's not enough.
There's something about. I watched a YouTube video again, Taylor.
Everybody gives back.
But I think even Taylor would agree with it. It talked about how hard the U.S. is to invade, and part of it, in fairness, was that Canada and Mexico are allies. Mm-hmm. But then another part of it was like, man, the way that the Mississippi River splits it makes it hard to cross. It makes it easy for us to transport goods and materials up and down, like as a waterway. Apparently, the Rocky Mountains and the coast. It just we have
the interstate highway system is built for this purpose. It is
geographically we present a bigger problem than many countries get. Like Russia, for example, one of the reasons they're doing this whole Ukraine thing is they're very easy to invade from the West, and they feel vulnerable from that side. Yeah, they feel vulnerable from that side. Whereas America, assuming Mexico and Canada are our friends, very hard to invade.
You're right. Yeah, like there are some countries that just are difficult to invade. Like Iran is a good example. They're entirely surrounded by mountains. I was reading the U.S. did like a war game, like prediction of what a boots on the ground war would look like in Iran, and they stopped the war game prediction after like 2 days because of how many losses America would have. They're like, oh, this is not doable. No, we cannot have a land war in fucking Iran.
Yeah,
Because
Did you
Iran
see
is
the papers? Did Trump wave them around, or Iran attack planes?
to be
This is
fair,
like
he had
20 years
added
ago.
some Sharpie to it, and he had
Yeah.
made the Americans much taller.
Dude, a lot of people think like Iran is like Iraq, or like what Iraq is now. It's like no, Iran's much more real deal a country than modern Iraq.
Yeah, I don't really know. I see both sides of it. I see like,
They have Russian support.
they're much more like westernized than you think, and they've got a great economy, and they're educated and all that stuff. And then you see like it's Sharia law, how do you
Sharia?
pronounce Sharia law, and a religious government, and they're kind of backwards, and they hate women. And I'm like, I don't know what the truth is.
I don't think they hate women over there in Iran.
I think it's like a little bit. I think both. I think
They're
there's
There's a little bit of
iffy on women. Let's
misogyny
just
going on there.
Yeah,
agree on that.
yeah.
Are
Saudi
they
Arabia,
a burqa country?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They're definitely a hijab
Saudi
country.
Arabia has
They've
a
been-
lot of issues with I think women just
And
got
no
the
Saudi
right to
Arabia burqa
thrive.
company.
Yeah.
Not
Target
burqa
country.
either. And they're not. You're thinking of hijab, not burqa. Burqa's the full outfit where
Yeah.
you like can't even
Mm.
see out.
Yeah.
No, I think that's Saudi Arabia.
We've been having.
That's Afghanistan.
Have you
Saudi
been paying
Arabia is
attention
fine
to-
with the hijab.
Oh,
where you
okay.
just have the head covering.
I've only been I've been watching Philip DeFranco's videos on it, but on the Saudi-U.S. relations are very poor right now. We're apparently warming up to the Venezuelans, and I see that the Saudis are cutting the oil production again. Right? They're not
Mhm.
happy with the Western countries using their strategic reserves to manipulate the price, and also we're making a lot of oil. I'm sure, despite what Biden has done. And they're cutting production again by, I don't know, another 1 billion barrels or something
Are
like
they still
that.
threatening to sell it on the ruble and the Chinese fucking dollar, whatever, the yuan?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I know we've threatened them a lot. With their military, because most of their planes are our planes. So if we cut off that part supply, part of the whole thing, this whole Ukraine thing is interesting is because it's like Android and Apple, right? That's how the arms are in the world right
I
now,
like this
more
analogy.
or less. There's France and Korea, but
An Apple.
it's Android and Apple, and the
Yeah,
United States is
there's
Apple.
Windows phones that come from France, but who gives a fuck? They're not a
Yeah.
real
Fuck that.
player.
Fuck that. That's not compatible with either of them.
Linux.
So the
Yeah.
Western guys, the United States, we make these Apple phones. The Russians, they've got this fucking Androids. And if you're Saudi Arabia or India or Pakistan, you have to pick because
Can I
you
add
want
to
all your
this?
shit to work together. Yeah.
And the US stuff tends to be really technologically advanced, but maybe fragile by comparison. Takes a little more expertise
Training.
to maintain them.
Yeah.
And the Russian stuff tends to be just sort of simple, strong, and durable and tough. And if you were to ask me 3 years ago which one's better, I'd shrug. But now they've been tested.
Russian stuff's like the
Yeah.
flip phone, man.
Yeah.
I had a flip phone that just I said I would upgrade when it broke. I didn't upgrade that fucking phone until like 2013. And it never broke is the fucking thing. Like it died one time and came back to life, actually.
Sorry, Kyle. I think I threw you off your groove.
No, you're perfect. But like
Yeah.
one of the things, one of the ways that the United States exerts its powers on countries is, hey, wouldn't you like a bunch of F-16s? That could be your Air Force. Our shit is good. You've seen them in action. You're like, yeah, we can afford 200 million of them. Then a few years pass and
Here's
they do
both.
a few years pass and they do something we don't like. Oh, did you stop that oil vessel? Are you cutting down on your production of oil? Are you supporting this religious group that secretly funds Hamas? No more carburetors for you. No more carburetors for those F-16 or F-16s don't have carburetors, but you know.
I'm working with it.
No more F-16 carburetors for you. And they're like, whoa. These things go through a carburetor every fucking week. What are you talking about? We won't have an Air Force. I'm sure you can get some new carburetors somewhere. No, you're the only people who make carburetors for F-16s. I'll let that vessel go. Stop funding Hamas.
Our military does like the HP Inc. strategy, where it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Does your tank not work, dummy? Because now
But there's another part.
from me.
Now we know which one's better. Now we know these Russian things. They're getting butt fucked by Ukraine. Like that, dude. That's not supposed to happen. When your tanks are so bad that they're losing to Ukraine, against our tanks or our javelins or whatever, that's a bad look. Now, if I'm India, I don't want to buy the Russian stuff. It's been tested. It's not the good stuff.
Yeah,
I saw a lot of
It seems like
tanks
American weapons
got wrecked.
manufacturers round down. I love that.
Yeah. Like
What's the range on your missile? Call it 50 miles. It's 180.
Yeah. We saw that with so the Russians had these supersonic missiles, and we had the Patriot system. And the Russians are like, it goes like Mach 5. And it goes like Mach 1. And we're like, the Patriot? Yeah, we could probably never take out one of those, but it can. And then it gets tested, and we start shooting down these supersonic missiles. And the Russian scientist, did he get executed, or what the fuck happened?
There were 2 or 3 of them that they snatched up, and right after there was a night where half a dozen of those hypersonic missiles got shot down, and then immediately 2 or 3 Russian scientists who were on that program got locked up. They said they were getting locked up because they had sold secrets to China, but that might have. My guess, and this is just me, my Tom Clancy brain is, they were like, what the fuck? Dimitri said the missiles worked right. Look into him. And they found out that, you've been talking to Chang over there, huh? Well, you were on my list anyway. And now he's gone.
Was that I think you mentioned this before, where that was the story where like the scientists were lying about the capabilities of it, of like, this can do this fast, it can take out this in the air, and then they test it and it can't do any of that shit.
Presumably,
we round down.
Putin is the guy who was out there. He's been doing it for like years now, maybe 10 years when they first came out with that missile, and he's like, in a word, it is the perfect weapon. It cannot be intercepted.
It is as good a weapon as I am at ice hockey. Have you not seen clip? I dangle right past Alex Ovechkin. Alex Ovechkin, best player in the world. He says, I can't guard Putin. Like that would be. Is there a clip of that? I would love to see a clip of like Alex Ovechkin like pretending like, what do I do? Oh fuck! I tried.
And I think economically as well. And also I know this stuff that's going on with the Houthis. Apparently that really doesn't bother the Israelis. What it bothers is maybe a few Israeli oligarchs who own shipping companies. They're like, no. But
they're not just going after Israeli ships. They're going after anybody who shows up in there.
Exactly. And that's why it's a problem for Europe and China, because that's where that's the trade between Europe and China goes through.
That's a hugely important shipping lane.
Yeah, for China.
I think the Likud party has been pretty.
I like seeing Europe do poorly
outspoken about the Houthis, right? Like it's not just Israeli bureaucrats. Like it's the main party in power. Netanyahu's party.
Well,
a problem with it.
Well, the Houthis are.
China spoke out against the Houthis. Nobody likes the Houthis.
Well, I mean, Iran likes
the Houthis in Iran. They're like like this, but
Hamas,
North Korea loves them.
I feel like Hamas very openly at this point acknowledged that they in part did what they did on October 7th because they were trying to draw in outside forces and turn it into a larger regional Hezbollah and more Iranian proxies.
Hezbollah whoever runs Hezbollah, that's a smart cookie, as Trump would say, because he didn't do shit.
He would
all his like I'm sure they financed them and they influenced them, but whoever the guy who flies that Hezbollah flag, not an Iranian flag, that guy who's in charge of it decided not to get involved.
There was some fighting in the north, like southern Lebanon and northern Israel, but like they certainly didn't. The Hamas was not successful ultimately in turning it into something much bigger. I guess the idea is that for the Abrahamic Accords and the normalization of between Saudi Arabia and Israel, Hamas felt like, okay, we need to pop the fuck off because it's kind of now or never.
Yep.
But it fucking sucks because now they're just so much further away from a Palestinian state. And it's not like the Palestinian people in Gaza have a say in terms of like military operations.
Yeah. They're just getting destroyed every single day.
Somebody challenged me the other day to solve that thing. It took me 15 minutes. Solve the whole fucking thing.
Really?
You gotta have it. So a 2-state solution is going to be non-negotiable. But here's the thing. Here's what will make everybody happy. You know that maybe it's off the coast of the UK. They call it Sealand or something. It's like the world's smallest country. They just got a little platform out there.
Sure.
That's where the Palestinians go. And look, here's the thing. We, the United States, just sent a boat out of Virginia, and they're heading to, you would guess it, Israeli waters. They're going to build them a pier so that we can more readily give them things.
I think we should. I think it should be left up to chance. entirely.
Build a couple of oil rig platforms out there. Set them up with some tents.
When you say leave it up to chance, if like the current like pressure that the Biden administration and other international forces are putting on Israel is to not permanently occupy Gaza. So like if Trump wins in 2024, for example, it's pretty obvious that he's going to give Netanyahu like the full green light just to annex Gaza. And then it's like, I don't know, maybe Egypt is just forced to take in refugees. Like, I don't know how that's going to.
They won't.
No, it would be Europe that would be forced to take them, or us probably, right? Because Egypt has already stated they're not going to take any.
No, send them to fight in Ukraine. That's how
I was going to say,
for everyone.
Coin flip, then all the head Jews and the head Palestinians have to be like, whatever the result of this is, we will abide. Loser of the coin flip, their whole group goes to Madagascar.
It has to be a two-state solution, but Netanyahu has to be ousted democratically, and Hamas, they can't remain in power. That's just not tenable, I don't think. Do you guys think, like, I don't know, do you guys think it's obviously a really complicated issue, but like, do you think that some level of force is justified in the pursuit of like disarming Hamas?
I mean, I think that the amount of force that Israel is showing is absurd, and that they are waging a destructive campaign against the Palestinian people right now. And that's clear by the video evidence. It's absurd. So
bigot.
Bigot, Nazi,
hate monger.
Hate monger. I don't think that we're gonna solve an ethnic conflict 1,000 years old, and so I don't want to be involved with Israel whatsoever or with Palestine. It's not our business. It doesn't help us to be involved. It makes us global foes the world over. It's negative. It costs $1 billion, and
it's why 9/11 happened.
Taylor's pretty consistently isolationist, whereas I prefer the hypocrite route and choose battle by battle.
Yeah, I said the same thing about Ukraine and Russia. I don't care what the Ukrainians and Russians
because I'm the guy that likes the United States to have its fingers in all the pies. When I see those Pacific fleets start sailing out, spreading out, taking control of entire regions. When I watch those YouTube videos about how much firepower like this boat or that boat has, I like that shit. I like that the world runs on dollars, and people can pretend like they're going to switch to something else all they want. They won't.
Well, a lot of people call that like American imperialism. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen like that bullshit.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the bullshit map?
We should take Mexico.
I haven't seen the bullshit map.
There's a bullshit map that goes around online where it's like an American flag where like every American military bases in the world, except it's like clearly bullshit because they have like bases in Iran and stuff. It's like, wait, what the fuck? But
those are
a lot
really
like, and I
they don't know about those.
I used to look at it the same way for a really long time. But the only country I think that doesn't want American bases in their country is Cuba. I think, and then everybody else, like we work closely with the Somalian government to like help them deal with their problem with terrorism, and like there's no country that like is pissed that America has a military base like in their backyard.
Does Haiti have any? They could use a few.
I mean, Russia doesn't like it.
They keep asking, but we keep saying no.
You're not blaming NATO for the Russian invasion, are you?
No, I was saying that's why Russia justified it. Is they're saying that Putin said we don't want military bases in our border in Ukraine, and then we're like, we're going to do it. And
they also
was like, well, fuck
they're liberating Ukraine from the Nazis that run them.
Yeah, I'm not defending Russia. I'm saying like that's their rationalization for it. Like Putin did say years ago, like I'm going to do something if you try and do this.
My goal was to discredit Russia because I think the reality is nothing. What the reality is and what they say are completely unrelated. The real reason they took Ukraine is they wanted the land, they wanted the bread basket, they wanted the warm water.
I think it's both. The same thing now with Star Wars. That's the U.S. and Vietnam. That's the U.S. is the evil empire, and Luke Skywalker and the boys they're the Vietnamese, and maybe the fucking Buddhist monk burned himself alive as the Jedi. I don't know, but that's what was going on then.
Well, he didn't self-immolate in protest of the war. Did you know that? He was protesting actually something else at the time. He was
protesting that he got caught releasing documents, and he was like, while I burn myself to avoid these document charges, I think I'll yell Free Palestine.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
guy. Wait, he was.
No, he's talking
wait,
the
about
guy who
not just talking about
self-immolated?
the other guy, the guy from 60.
Well, I
No,
was
no, but
originally talking about Buddhist monks in Vietnam, but
Yeah.
there was that guy, that Air Force guy who self-immolated like a week or
Dude.
two ago.
And they were celebrating him. Like there were like this like bunch of like going back to TikTok, a bunch of like TikTok Zoomers were like lionizing this guy. And there was this whole thing where H3 was he was saying like I don't think it's good to glamorize, which I think is the correct take.
I didn't even think of it from the suicide thing because it's a different kind of suicide. And like I think suicide, when you're looking for a way out or whatever, you really need to like explore some other fucking options. It's an awful thing. However, suicide for an ideal is a different thing.
Dude, though, when you look through his
No, I
old
don't-
Reddit posts, this dude was fully radicalized, like full.
No shit.
Yeah, he burned himself alive.
There's a hot take.
Yeah, he was
well-
radical. I would say I'm
well-
going to go so far as to say too
I
radical.
got my hot take joke. All right.
maybe it's a bit
It's on
redundant. to
fire
say that.
tonight.
But he was
No,
like, he was just full on. Like, I guess it's just there's a lot of people where their whole political philosophy is centered on America bad, and then everything springs from that. And so you just become fully
Oh, the screenshot
indoctrinated.
was a
into-
hoax. Hutch,
What's
the
up?
Reddit thing. The Reddit thing is. Did you read
It's a hoax.
shortly following?
There was okay,
Bushnell's
no.
death-
So there was one specific post that was doctored, but you can't like you can go to
Okay.
like archived. They
Sure.
deleted his account, so you can't go to Reddit itself to see it. But there's an archived version of his logs, and you can just read everything that he was typing, and it was just it was apparent that he was just fully.
Okay.
I think he tacitly endorsed October 7th, for example.
Mm.
Oh, a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
did,
people
yeah,
did.
I did see that.
Yeah, a lot
Right.
of people like just straight up outwardly did it on Twitter. It was funny to see like random rappers get in trouble.
Yeah.
Rappers politics is one of my new favorite things because it's a lot more right wing and radical than you'd ever think. Like I feel it's
Right-wing.
lady rappers are super radical. They're
Bushnell guy was
celebrating
all
October
left-wing
7th
stuff.
and stuff like that. The male rappers, a lot of those dudes are right wing. A lot of those guys are Trump guys.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like there's obviously a lot of like free Palestine stuff with like younger artists right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
I
popular.
think like it's so tough because it's like obviously I think most people, I would assume all of you guys believe that the Palestinians deserve their own state and autonomy and dignity and all that, but I don't, when I get up to the line of like Hamas good, that's where I'm like, no, I'm not with you on that one.
Well, that's
Yeah.
absurd.
I mean, we've got so much land in the Midwest. I was thinking, Taylor, that we could get all them Palestinians and just give them like Wyoming. Like
No.
we're not doing shit up there.
Once
North
you get to the
Dakota.
flyover states,
is
do
not
we even use
our
those?
We'll
problem.
flip a coin. We'll give them one of the Dakotas. Dude, problem? Do you know what a resource the Palestinian people could be? Look, now you don't realize this, Taylor, but first world nations are clamoring to get first pick at the Palestinian people. There's a lottery system right now,
Yeah.
and a lucky few First Nations are going to get, their pick.
Lucky few.
Taylor, it's
I know.
been said that if you take all the Hamas and put them in St. Louis, that the murder rate will go down.
I don't know.
Damn.
We could try it. We could-
Did you
That
guys
can't
see
be
that?
possible.
Did you guys see that this conflict and the discourse around it like ended the H3 Hassan?
I really don't know
partnership?
anything about those guys.
You're not plugged into them at all.
Not
I try
one
to
bit.
stay away
Get
from that sort
Back,
of thing.
what happened? Were they friends and now they're not, or is the
Well, they
opposite?
did They did a podcast together for I want to say like 2 years. It's called The Leftovers, and it was a really interesting cultural kind of like online cultural moment to watch that friendship sort of disintegrate over time because it started to fray during like a conversation about like capitalism versus communism stuff. And what had happened was like H3 had, whether intentionally or unintentionally, cultivated through his partnership with Hassan, cultivated like a really left-wing audience, like a hammer and sickle, like we need to like destroy capital kind of like audience. And they started to like have this like disagreement where Ethan was like willing to say, there's plenty of flaws with capitalism. There's a lot of gaps. There's a lot of poverty, but I'm just not with you with the whole like Chinese kind of stuff, like or like full on hammer and sickle stuff. And then like a few months later, it culminated this fracture of their friendship with the Palestinian Israeli conflict, because Ethan is a dual citizen. Like he has citizenship in Israel. He has family in Israel,
His
and so
girl is Israeli, right? Or, or is also his dual. Yeah.
And so a lot of Ethan's audience were, I mean, some of them were just full on like
actually
celebrating October 7th, you know, like and so like Ethan was he was like saying like, look, I'm willing to tell you like what the Israelis have been doing to Palestinians for decades is wrong, and fuck Netanyahu and fuck the Likud party and fuck, you know, the Israeli Palestinian the treatment of Palestinians, but Hamas, like what they did is fucking not good. And then like a bunch of the audience were calling him like a racist, genocidal, apartheid supporter. And dude,
they call us that all the time. That they they don't mean it.
That just means hello in online talk.
Yeah, that's just howdy.
That's how they bake.
It was an interesting kind of like, it was an interesting moment, because it's just like,
for him to realize that's that's pretty awkward.
So there was a big schism in both of their audiences.
They don't do the podcast anymore, and it was just too much. Like there was free
and open discussion had a limit for him. Yeah,
and that was a pretty big podcast, you know. So to like walk away from that was like pretty significant.
You think the audience divided them mostly?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was the conflict and the audience. There's this thing called audience capture. Are you guys familiar with the concept of audience capture? It's like, so if you're like an influencer person and you cover politics or you cover cultural stuff, and you end up cultivating an audience over time, like you guys have cultivated kind of like a slightly more right-wing audience, I would say, right? And but like what happens with a lot of creators is they start to notice like, oh, well, I'll get, you know, you either consciously or unconsciously know, like I'm going to get more engagement if I frame certain things this way or that way. And so there ends up being this sort of like extremism pipeline that happens, and then it gets to a point where the creator, they're not really being authentic with their thoughts. They're relaying what they think their audience is going to want to hear. So you know,
Zach phrased it really well. Let me read it because it's interesting. Audience capture is a self-reinforcing feedback loop that involves telling one's audience what they want to hear and getting rewarded for it.
Yeah, and then they have to go further and further. So they're like, oh, when I'm talking about how awesome Stalin was, I get lots of likes and comments.
Well, see, it's people easy to calling get around me that, comrade. Though. We just always, one of us has to disagree, so that we're always on both sides. We literally are. It's very rarely that all three of us are like full. And
if we all agree, someone will jump on the other side.
Yeah, and then there'll be, if we all agree, there's at least a dissenting opinion from somebody. They're like, look, all right, I'll co-sign that. Yeah, but here's the thing about that. You need you have a little. You need disagreement.
Yeah, it's not so interesting to listen.
But here's where I think our show does it a lot, in like the meanness, right? So this is a show where we laugh at people fighting cars and think it's hilarious at that mismatch, and then the audience turns that same spirit on us, and it's like, well, don't be surprised, fucknard.
Yeah, if we got hit in a parking lot, they would have no sympathy. No, I think we more or less agree, but like what's flavoring or tainting your opinion just a little bit is your isolation. No, Taylor, is how much you hate us being potentially involved, how much you dislike Israel for taking all of our money from us, and how much you don't want any involvement with Iran.
Yes,
and I can sympathize with all of that, but I always thought of Iran as like a bully, and they seem to if you like appease them or if you ignore them, they just seem to get more aggressive, take a scarier stance. And I've just never heard them be like, the Americans have been nice to us for the last 5 years. Maybe we'll get over it. No, they're just. So I like that Israel's constantly killing their scientists. Like it doesn't even get reported much anymore. Their scientists and their generals. After Soleimani, Trump took out Soleimani. He was supposed to be the person you couldn't touch, this Iranian general. Trump blew him the fuck up. And there wasn't much of a kickback from Iran. They shelled one of our bases and some people got concussions. Yeah. That was the response. After that, Israel got brazen. They were like, oh, really? They'll just take it, huh? See, Israel's a bully too. And they saw that Iran had a little bitch in their blood. Yeah. So you know what they did? They went to it used to be the Shah of Iran's palace. It's this pretty cool palace near a ski resort that's near Tehran. And it's now the Revolutionary Guard like palace or something like that. One of their higher up generals, I can picture his face. He looks like Santa Claus with a crew cut, was staying there as like a guest. They put a bomb under his bed and they climbed a tree outside and they waited till he turned out the lights, counted 10 and blew him up in their own building, like the most secure possible building in Iran. And they paid 2 Iranian guards off enough money, enough shekels to, and you know, they got him into the West, I'm sure too, put a bomb under his bed and wait. Look, I think Iran's the bad guys. I don't think Israel's the good guys though. You know, and I think that as long as we don't have American boots on the ground anywhere near that area of the world, I'm happy to see them like Israel shit on them left and right.
Yeah,
I would
don't
love
care
to
what
watch
Israel.
World's Most Dangerous Jobs and see them go through the list of like Bering Strait crab fishermen, Pacific Northwest logger, Iranian nuclear scientist topping the list is the greatest death per.
That's what he was. That's what that guy was. He was that. I'm glad you said that. That's what he was. I think he was a nuclear scientist. I'm pretty sure he was. They kill those guys all. Oh, here's how they killed the nuclear scientist. And now I remember, dude. They sent a truck and a machine gun piece by piece into Iran in like innocuous shipments. Then those pieces were assembled all together and placed by a road. When the bad guy, the Iranian
a truck was one of these things. They sent a truck piece by piece. Okay.
All the pieces. And so when the bad guy drove past, the gunner looks through his sight, takes careful aim, and he opens up with a belt-fed 308 machine gun, annihilating the whole convoy. Then the truck explodes into so many pieces they can't even tell what was there because the sniper was in another fucking country operating a remote-controlled robot machine gun hidden in the back of a truck that's tailgate flopped open at the last minute.
Cool. Walter White did something like that.
Yeah, they did in 2020 Yeah, they saw Breaking
Bad.
They
stole the idea. I think Walter White did it first.
They did.
I think Israel doesn't care when like their plots get shown. I hope that our CIA is even fucking cooler. I hope they're even cooler. I hope they do. All right, here's another one that the Israelis did. They got caught this time. So what they would do, because they can't just print passports like we can print an American passport, write whatever we want on it, give it to a CIA guy, and he's got a new identity to cruise the world, no questions asked. It's an American passport. Israeli passports don't work like that. So they got to go to their dual citizenship citizens. Hey, you're Israeli and Australian. Would you let the government borrow your passport? We'll give it back. You know, we're going to use it for the betterment of the country, for national security, etc. And these people say, yeah, I guess. Well, they used those passports. They gave them to agents who looked enough like them, I guess. And they sent them to, is it Abu Dhabi? They sent them to a Middle Eastern country to assassinate an Iranian. And it's all on CCTV. That's the problem. They're stalking him. A dozen agents stalking him, just like an Ocean's 11 movie. They got disguises. They got tennis rackets, like sliding in the elevator with them, like they're tennis playing, like hotel guests. Then later on, the same guy has like a bald cap and a suit on, walking around. It's like that's the same guy. They followed him to his room, found out where he was staying. Then they attacked him. Used what was described as an ultrasonic device to stop his heart. Took his clothes off, put him in his bed, and left.
How close do you have to be for the ultrasonic device to work?
Dude, they were so vague about what the fuck they meant by an ultrasonic device. What I think they did is they held
him down. Did they just defibrillate some guy who wasn't?
That's not an ultrasonic device. They did something else to him that leaves.
I was meaning like they were like post fact trying to be like, oh yeah, we have this brand new device, gives you a heart attack with a gun, and really they're like holding him down. He's like, I'm gonna defibrillate this motherfucker.
Well, the CIA had a heart attack gun like 50 years ago. They're just shooting icy toxins at you or some shit like that. But they use some sort of a device to kill this guy that leaves no marks, that I guess you push to his body and stop his heart with ultrasonic sound or something. That's what it sounded like they were describing. Tucked him into his bed and made it look like he had died in his sleep. But then they looked at the CCTV and they say, wait a minute, that guy who died in his sleep, he was being stalked by Israelis all day. But
there's a lot of curly hair in this CCTV. But now a lot of sideburns.
But the passport holders are the ones who are getting called out globally. There's this map that of like people's like passport photos, and lines of them traversing Israel back to Abu Dhabi, back to Israel, and like making this loop where they killed him. And there's this grand conspiracy exposed. And then they interviewed like this poor Australian guy. And he's like, yeah, he asked for my passport. Didn't know this was going to happen.
Yeah. And so they told me what was up, and I said, "Oy vey." You know?
Yeah, I'm just really impressed by that Israeli intelligence apparatus. That this is one of the wildest, most James Bond-esque coups I've ever even heard of.
It's right
and I've
where
heard of
there's
some
that
good ones.
CIA computer virus that
Stuxnet.
unbalanced the centrifuges.
Centrifuge. Yeah, the worm was called Stuxnet, I think. And it was an Israeli and American partnership to deal with a centrifuge that was underground, cut off from any wiring, any internet cabling at all. How do you infect that centrifuge with this thing that makes it spin a little bit faster, a little bit slower, thereby destroying it over a long-term period? And by the way, centrifuge is separating weapons grade uranium from regular uranium, right? It's getting 235 out of and getting rid of the 237, 238. So it was a bad place. But what happened was they got it on a thumb drive. No. They infected the whole global internet.
Yeah,
with it.
they infected basically every computer on Earth, but didn't do anything negative. And then somehow, some way, this thing found its way to the Iranian computer, and they were like, "Well, I mean, I bet every computer has it by now." And they activated it, and boom, it set their nuclear program back for years. So,
we lost your audio, Kyle.
No,
lost that.
Anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I guess things can be both cool and horrible.
Yeah, like nuclear bombs.
Like nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
Just don't want. I am fearful Hezbollah will retaliate, and then everything will keep ratcheting up. And
why would you think that?
Well, because they seem to. Every time something like this happens, they'll respond, and then Israel responds, and then they respond, and eventually it'll hit a pitch. Yeah, no, they've been at this like cold becoming hot war for a long time,
almost 1 year now.
If there's
almost 2,000
I fear that if there's if there's a situation where boots on the ground is needed, it's going to be American troops that have to do it, and I don't want that.
I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna need boots on the ground. I think we got plenty of pagers, cell phones, walkie-talkies, smoke signals, birds, fucking glyphs, like whatever. This is cool, and I'm enjoying watching it. Bad guys are losing, good guys are winning, and it's not. It's never
there
black
are no
and white.
good guys.
Yeah,
we're the good guys
in this conflict, man.
Trust me, we're the good guys. All right, because we live here. All right, the good old
because they're over there because we've got trees and sunshine.
They hate our freedom. That's what this is all about, Taylor.
Yes. Oh my
Osama bin Laden was like, I cannot abide them voting, and then that's why he did it.
Yeah,
that's
I remember like being young after that and like not understanding what that meant when I would hear adults say like they hate us for our freedom. I'm like, they shouldn't dwell on it that much if they're so if they're so upset that I can go buy a lunchly, then and they can't. They shouldn't dwell on it.
Yeah,
that's the pinnacle of freedom is lunchly and prime.
Yeah, I have a right to eat as much lead or as little lead as I choose.
Yeah, should know how much lead you're eating.
I don't know. I don't know what they're up to. It's just one of those countries where it's like
they're never with
like
us.
They have a cool culture. It's fun.
They're super anti-Israel.
They're funny.
I've seen that. Yeah, they're super anti-Israel.
Israel took their embassy out of like Afghanistan, Iraq, and Ireland.
Really? Ireland?
Recently Ireland. Like Ireland is like one of the most anti-Israel countries that's ever existed. Online people call it Paddystine because it's like they look at this entirely different scenario with Israel and Gaza, and they're like, that's just like us. No, it's not, but sure. And they're like, that's like us, and we're them, and that's like us. And so they've really like taken a stance. And now then when Trump came in and Trump was like, we're going to turn it into a casino. They were like, Israel was like, oh, okay, great. So Ireland, you're going to take all these Palestinians, right? They're yours now. Like you're going to step up and you're going to take anyone who is a refugee. You're going to welcome them in, right?
No.
And they have a crazy Islamic population now. Like Ireland is very Islamic in terms of compared to how many Irish people are in there. And that's actually quite a few countries out there that's happening.
A lot of those
I don't know why everyone's
not so stoked on it. Yeah.
I don't know why everyone's always like, oh yeah, colonizers, Israel's like this big. It's this tiny thing, and it's surrounded by like hardcore Islamic countries. And I'm like, I feel like those are the colonizers. That's like what colonizing looks like to me. And you look at a map and you lay it out on a map.
There?
No, Woody, that's
no.
a misnomer. All of those nations and people moved there after 1948.
Oh.
Lebanon.
People say
like,
Iran, it was Persia. There's thousands and thousands of years of history there. That sounds like propaganda to me.
Yes.
What are there? Archaeological digs that prove it? Doubt it.
Who do you think built the pyramids? Egyptians?
Egyptians? No. The Egyptians looked around and they were like, we need the hardiest, best manual laborers available to humankind, Jews.
No, I don't.
We need a lot of guys with asthma to get over here.
All these accountants with abacuses in tow.
Yeah,
I don't think it would have they gotten the project done on time. No, I think we're about to go to war with Iran, though. I think that we in Israel and the Jordanians are about to dogpile on old Iran and do some bombing because they've been moving assets to the region for weeks and weeks. And I think Trump wrote a letter to the Iranians a couple weeks ago, and it was something like he wants the nuclear deal back, but a new nuclear deal. And there was a threat. It was like, it was like, do this or. And it wasn't received well by the Iranians. And the Iranians are at the UN. They're like, we don't want war with America, but we'll hit back hard if they hit us. Please, no war. And meanwhile, we're flying a third of the B-2 fleet to the Indian Ocean, moving another aircraft carrier strike group into the region from the Pacific. And I've seen all the assets they've moved. They moved a THAAD missile system. They moved some Patriot missile systems over there.
I haven't heard many
a lot
ground
of
assets, just airstrikes.
Yeah,
but well, you say of course not. I've lived through several ground wars in the last 20 years.
We're not going to send ground forces to Iran under any circumstances.
That would be really, that would be bloody. So hopefully it doesn't kick
they're there for the nuclear sites. They're there to hit those underground nuclear sites where they're enriching uranium. That's what they're going to do. They're going to blow them up.
Hope not. Hope they don't get a war.
Israel and USA hacked Iran. They hacked into Iran's nuclear systems a while back.
Stuxnet.
Yeah, and it was like that thing where it's like they don't realize that they were hacked. And then Israel, of course, got a little too aggressive with the hack, and it ended up revealing itself. But it set them back for quite a while because they weren't able to do things because their calculations and computation wasn't working. And this had to happen because a USB or something was physically put into a computer. I'm just like, man, that's a different Jew from
the way those
some sick Jew to pose in as Iranian and get into the nuclear reactor and fucking plug in a virus.
Dude, Kyle, you're mentioning the I didn't know until you told me last week that Missouri has so many of our planes and whatnot in a field here or whatever. And it was sometime a week and a half ago that 3 days in a row, the loudest planes I've ever heard in my life were going over my house, and I don't live anywhere near an airport. And so I was just like, what the fuck is this? My windows are almost shaking from how loud and sustained this is. And then you mentioned that they were moving planes around.
150 C-130s went to the Middle East this week. You know what one of those carry? Those giant cargo planes, they could fill them up with tanks. They've been moving a lot of stuff.
That must have been what it was, because there's no other planes that would have made that noise.
Kind of wish we had more allies.
I don't think we have any allies that are capable of the mission that we're about to perform. They're about to go in through an integrated air defense network with S-300 missile systems stealthily and hit targets that are 200 feet below the desert that they're going to detect, I suppose, with some intelligence or satellite thermal shit or magic for all I know, and then blow those up. Nobody else can do what we're doing. That's why they're using $2 billion airplanes. Nobody else has any of those.
I just feel isolated. That's all. Like I don't
Well, the
know.
Jordanians will be there with their F-16s. The Israelis will be there with their 35s
Jordan
and 22s.
Israel, but like I meant like Europe.
What if your allies?
That's why we're doing this. That's what that signal thing revealed, is that Israel's going to sit on its hands and get fucked in the ass. We have to go rescue them and fix the trade routes. That's what would happen though, as far as the Houthis go with the trade route stuff.
If your allies were Russia and China, how would you feel?
What do you? How would I? How would I feel like philosophically, or how would I feel as far as like?
Who are you asking?
Woody, because you said that you wanted allies, and you were like, "What about Europe?" But it was like, "What about Russia and China?"
Historically, Russia and China have not been reliable allies. Like America and Europe, until this presidency, had a reliable relationship where we would be there for one another. But
did you
Russia,
feel like your country was doing heavy lifting in that relationship?
I do feel like we were doing the heavy lifting, but I also thought they'd do their best if the chips, were on the table. Probably fuck that metaphor up. But China, Russia in particular, will lie through their teeth. They will tell lies that we know they're lying. They know we know they're lying. They're not a reliable ally. China has never been an ally of America. If we had a brand new relationship and we had to put that to any kind of test, they wouldn't be what, for example, England, probably our best ally, is always there for us. Canada was one of our best allies. They're not our ally anymore. So no, I don't think that Russia and China are reliable allies, even if they're strong countries.
I don't know what we would hope that France would do for us in this moment, or England or Australia would help us in this moment. They don't have the assets to do the job. It's not as if they were our friends. We might be like, hey, yay. Oh, you're joining the team? Oh, we can fill you in. Hey, you set up the chairs. Yeah, you're the guy that sets up chairs. and France, you got a cooler, right? A big red one. Oh,
you don't? Okay, well, we'll give it to you.
Canada's got one.
We'll give it to you.
Talk to Canada. Here, borrow our cooler, and you can get some ice from Canada. No ice? How much are you charging us for ice, Canada? Jesus.
I can't go toe-to-toe with whose submarines are quieter when it comes to weapon systems with you, Kyle, because this is a hobby of yours and you're a subject matter expert. But I do know that Europe has good weapon systems as well. And they're more than just bringing snacks to the table.
Not for this, though, and not enough numbers, and they can't get them there. That's the other thing. Like, our ability to get our shit there to where the fight actually is, like, the fight's not in France. Like, what's that Raphael's range radius? Is it 1,500 kilometers? Is it 3,000? It wouldn't matter. You're nowhere near Iran. You need something that can land on that island in the Indian Ocean that's 2,400 miles from Iran or something like that. And then it takes off, this B-2, and we're going to refill that thing like 3 times before it comes back. They don't have those capabilities. Like all
they
of the
can't
things
do mid-air refueling.
They don't have the refueling we could refuel them, sure, but then they don't have the planes. They could. I don't even know if they have the F-18s that we would send in tandem with the B-2s, sending out electronic jamming. They would send like 2 B-2s because each one carries like 2 of those bunker busters, those crazy, ridiculous bunker buster bombs. And then they'd be flanked by like 8 or a dozen F-18s or something, like screaming signal jamming shit everywhere. I just don't know how Europe can help us with that fight. And it's not even like shitting on Europe. It's just if I was putting this war together, it's like, okay, how can Europe help? Thoughts and prayers,
Well, when I was when Trump mentioned something about annexing Canada, like casually, like 2 or 3 weeks ago or something like that, France had a nuclear submarine surface like off the coast of Canada, and I was like, wow, that's so like cool, an ally, and they brought their nuclear submarine. I'm like, that's so cool. I think the US has 100.
Yeah, that's
like what are we doing?
No, this is a purely a PR, as you say.
I watched a
we
YouTuber,
cannot take the United States.
The Navy allowed a YouTuber aboard one of their nuclear attack submarines, and he had to film very carefully because so much of the components and screens are classified. But there was a part where they're going into their dive, and he's like not a tech YouTuber. He's like an information and like tech YouTuber, I guess. So he was like, all right, so we're descending at 8 degrees and we're going that speed. He's looking at his watch. He's like, we're deep. We're really deep. And he's like, but I can't tell you how deep I even think we went because it's classified.
It's classified.
Yeah,
That'd be
the
spooky.
submarines-
I wouldn't want to be on a sub.
Exactly. I always
Yeah.
thought being on a submarine would be scary as hell and it'd be like rough living. But he lived with them for, I don't know, it seemed like several days, maybe a week. And you completely lose track of your day-night cycle. And pizza night becomes the thing. He's like, pizza night is how he glued his time frame and his whole week together. He's like, I was like, all right, it's been 3 days since pizza night. Okay. But they had like great food, a decent amount of space. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't cramped. And like their mess hall, like where they would eat, there's like TVs in there. And the guys
ate one of those.
He's like, we play Magic the Gathering and cribbage every night. And I'm like,
sick.
That's amazing.
That sounds pretty fun. How big was the mess hall you ate in, Harley?
There are parts of it that I can't fully stand up.
That's what I wondered.
Parts of it, but like the mess hall was one of the higher ceiling building places like in that I had gone on. It wasn't a submarine. It was like the big ass ships that you can like have planes fly off of and stuff like a carrier.
Carrier. Okay.
Yeah. But there are so many doors and walkways and places that are so cramped and tight, like crazy cramped and tight. And I spoke with a guy who was in the Navy and he worked on like a battleship. And I was like, oh, like tell me some crazy shit. And he was like, you want to know something crazy? He was like, when we go out in the water, he's like, sometimes like we pass a Chinese ship and they're allowed to be there too, but we're allowed to be there. And like, so we all man our stations and they man their stations probably. And like we coast by each other and we just look at each other and like pass. And he's like, but I've been doing this for years. And he's like, what's been happening recently is like, we don't know a Chinese ship is there until we see it. He's like, and when you could see the ship, that's a problem. You're already too close. You're supposed to know before you visually can see it. He's like, so there have been a couple times where we physically see a ship and then we're rushing to our stations and they kind of like just materialize out of nowhere. And he's like, and I don't know if like, he's like, maybe like my ship doesn't have the capabilities or maybe the higher ups on my ship are aware and they're not telling us. He's like, maybe back home, the brass knows about this and there's something there. He's like, whatever. He's like, I'm just saying that like, there is some technologies out there that are like making great strides forward that we may or may not be aware of. When I think of like Trump and how much he likes power and how much he seems to be a fan of Russia and how much he's changed on China compared to like his first time in office, I'm like, I think he's trying to do like a China-Russia maneuver. I think he wants to be like China and Russia. I think he wants to like hopscotch over Europe, bypass Europe and be friends with China and Russia instead and be like big three dominators of the world. And like, I mean, if I were playing Ritz,
I like that. That sounds like a basketball team.
Oh, we get to be number one.
Well,
Of the triumvirate, we have to be the clear one.
All right, so it's been about a week now since I'm switching topics a little bit. I want to.
What you got?
I don't want to go too deep into politics. That's never fun.
Yeah, that shit's boring.
Did Trump do a good thing? An incredibly reckless, stupid thing that just luckily turned out okay.
I think he did. I think he might have.
Do you think
Andy, you don't know I'm the biggest Trump critic on the call, and but it appears that he traded Iran's number 2, a queen, we'll say in chess, or a couple of empty buildings, a pawn at the most. If you take out a queen with a pawn, I mean, look, this game doesn't end ever, so we'll see, where that happens. Right. But I mean, if we could have traded a few empty buildings for Osama bin Laden or Saddam Hussein, I think they would have made that trade. If Trump did that, and this game really does end with that score, you have to admit it went super well.
Yeah, I think we're probably closer to like halftime than we are to the end.
Here is why we are not at halftime, in my personal opinion. It's because we found out today that Iran accidentally shot down its own airliner and killed 180 some odd people, roughly, or maybe 173. Mostly,
did you mean their own airliner? Did you say that right?
Yeah,
No, it was a
mostly
Ukrainian airline
Okay.
that was flying out of Tehran.
out of Iranian airspace. Yeah, but
Wrong
it was
place, wrong
mostly
time.
populated by Iranian citizens. You
Mhm.
know, and then I think Canadians made up like 73 maybe of the people on board, and then
Oh,
it
geez,
sort of
like a
breaks down.
third.
And yeah, and of course one of the things that they shamed the U.S. on in their propaganda and stuff like that, they even mentioned it maybe 5 days ago, was that I believe the United States accidentally shot down perhaps an Iranian airliner back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And so they bring that up a lot, how we accidentally shot down that airliner. Terrible tragedy, obviously, but then they did it like 3 days later, like in the modern era.
Mm-hmm. Two wrongs make a right.
Let he who hath not shot down an airliner cast the first stone. It's what we say here. All
Ukraine
the time.
and Russia is like, dang it. All right.
Do we know that's what happened? Do we know that?
We know
I
that's
haven't
what
kept
happened.
up with
There's video of the missile hitting it. The Canadians have independently confirmed it. Our government has independently confirmed it, and there are not state sponsored but independent Iranian news agencies who have confirmed it as well. But you can see the missile hit the thing
That's really sad.
on like Twitter video.
Terrible.
Yeah, I haven't watched that clip.
Shocking. You know, at 180 people who were just going home. There was one gentleman who, because of some sort of ticket mistake, he had to stay in the terminal, and his wife's on the plane.
Oh, he's about to get Final Destination.
He just got Final Destination.
He's about to be. There's going to be coffee shops collapsing on him, and like scaffolding. You know how it works. We've all seen the films.
Can you remind me how it works? I think I've inferred it, but when you're supposed to die and therefore you didn't, and then
The
death
way-
comes
yeah.
after you in the most ridiculous kinds of ways, like making like Rube Goldberg machines to kill you, essentially a lot of the time. Yeah, that's the whole kind of premise of those films.
Yeah, those are shitty movies.
It's been a wild week in the news. I was genuinely concerned for the first 3 or 4 days. You know, it seemed like Trump had really stepped in shit, and
acted rashly.
I'm not convinced that he didn't step in shit and just trip and fall into a pot of gold. I think that's pretty much what happened. He did do a thing that it seems like nobody really thinks was a good idea, who isn't biased in their opinion.
Even
Not
our
that-
European allies weren't stoked on it.
Yeah, and
They're like, yeah, that's really reckless, dude.
I was on the phone with my dad today, and he was like, "Was that a good thing or a bad thing?" And I was like, it depends who you ask, right?
This is a
I
few
feel
days
like
ago. Yeah.
Oh, this was today.
Okay,
you know, like just today. And he was like, "Do you think that was a good thing or a bad thing that he took that guy out?" And I was like, "Well, it seems like that was a bad guy, and maybe he did need taken out, but I don't think the way he did it was the appropriate way to do it in the year 2020, you know." But then again, I think that his critics would criticize him if he had literally taken out Satan or name an horrible evil thing.
What's the name of that movie? Is it Braveheart, where like the two leaders of the armies are like, we'll challenge each other to one-on-one, mano-a-mano combat, and the winner of that determines it. It's just the kings
You're thinking
fighting.
of the king, right? Was it we
Or
watched it
perhaps
recently.
Game of Thrones.
Or perhaps Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
It's definitely out there. I'm not just making it up.
It's the
We need to go
English
back to
against the
that.
French thing.
Or Troy, when Brad Pitt goes and fights Boagrius.
Yeah, that was really cool. I was disappointed when Brad Pitt killed Boagrius or whatever, because that guy was yoked, and I was like, I hope he like joins the team and he starts tearing shit up, and then he got stabbed right in the goddamn collarbone, ended him right quick.
That was a
But
cool maneuver.
we need to get back to that, because I don't know how tall the Iranian #1 guy is, but I know he's not as fat as Trump, so we've got the weight class advantage. If Trump can barrel towards him and fall on him, we could end this war in a matter of minutes.
Trump has to be amongst men, right? Let's remove women from the equation. I think Trump is bottom 3% in fighting ability.
No, dude, bottom 3%?
He is 74 years old or
Are we
something.
counting burn?
Oh, no, we're
victims
talking. You
and
gotta
indigents?
equate. How old is the Iranian guy? He's old as fuck too, right?
The guy that he killed? I don't know. He looked kind of fit to me. Let's see.
Oh, the guy he killed. I wouldn't want to throw him again in the ring against that guy. I think Taylor's thinking more like of.
I'm talking about like their
that
king,
bearded gentleman who's more of a
Okay. I was going
religious leader.
Salamani.
Hassan Rouhani.
Do you guys think Trump has ever been in a fight in his life? Come on.
Maybe in
Prep
college,
school?
maybe in prep school.
I
or in
can
that
believe a
military
lot of
school.
people dislike him.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if we
but
start
no.
there.
Yeah, I feel like if he went through life without getting in a couple of fist fights, then he's not the man we think he is.
I'm trying to find Rasan Rouhani's stats.
I just feel like he's going to be getting attacked left and right,
So the guy he killed was 63.
Okay.
And what is Trump? Is he 72?
Yeah, he's like 72 or something.
I think he's
73.
I think he's 73.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Oh, maybe he's
going to be
74
74 by the end of the year.
He's 73. You're right.
Yeah. And the other guy was 63. That's 10 critical years, but only 10 years. I don't know.
No, not that guy. We're talking about the heads of state. Rouhani is 71, and I can't find how tall he is online, and that is sometimes a sign of not being tall.
What if that? I think we're better off not doing the whole picking of champions thing.
Dude, no, come on.
I think we should press our advantage.
Yeah, right. United States we might beat Hassan Rouhani, who's 71 years old, but I don't think we'll be a superpower anymore if we depend on Trump to do our fighting personally.
Some just absolute monster from Iceland who like won the longest man. He just beats the shit out of Trump. Like we did make the rules. Now we're part of Iceland,
right?
And here's Bjorn Bone Crusher, the Prime Minister of Iceland, and ruler of all of Europe
the
now.
Rules of one-on-one combat
last week,
as Iceland and Northern Europe have taken over the planet. Yes, with their ridiculous strongmen. Yeah, Eastern Europe with all their MMA guys.
Would you take Trudeau or Trump in a fight, though? I feel
Trudeau,
like
he's like 30 years younger.
Yeah,
he's not fat.
Gotta win. Yeah, Trump must be exhausted. Like, to bend over and pick up a golf ball must be exhausting for Trump.
Trump's on speed, though.
Ooh, counterpoint. Touche. Yeah.
Does Adderall make you a better fighter? I don't think so. It just makes you not sleepy.
More frenetic, though, and that counts.
I'm going to punch you so hard. Lots of smart people talking about how hard I can punch you. You better stay away. You stay in your sandy shithole over there, whatever your name is.
Sandy shithole country.
This is how our politics discussions always go. It's like, do you think it was a good thing? Do you think it was a bad thing? But who would you want to fuck and who fights better?
Yeah, I don't know. I like I said, I don't want to get bogged down into politics, but I just at the beginning of the week I was very afraid. I legitimately was. I felt like we were literally one or two bad decisions, not by leaders, not by world leaders, but perhaps by soldiers. Someone in the field hitting the wrong button, away from getting into some serious international kind of trouble where other superpowers get drawn into this thing and lives are lost and horrible things could happen. Once the wheels start moving. I mean, we all know how World War I started. Little ridiculous things can draw in.
They killed one guy, assassinated one guy.
Yeah.
So I think that if you don't think things are looking good right now, then you're not looking at it very clearly. Things look great. On the other hand, if you're Iran, what move would you make, right? You've got this United States superpower who apparently can just freaking laser you from the sky anywhere, anytime.
They hit his car.
Right? They hit his car. So they just... that's the capability we have. Don't you tell America, no, we're done. It's cool. We're chill. Then
they would lose.
Bide your time. And that's what they've done, right? Trump has said, hey, I'd like peace. And Iran has said, yeah, I think we got your back. Everything's cool now.
No, but see, that's what they're sort of virtue signaling. But what they're putting out on state media is, we just slapped them in the face.
Sure.
We fired missiles into into their bases. It's only just begun. That's and people are like, oh, it's only just okay. All right, maybe ease up a little bit, but you don't have to be that hard on the on.
Let's let Andy jump in here.
Yeah, I think this one's really not about the perception of the people at all. Like, there's a big chess game going on. As to sort of a power vacuum of who takes over Saudi Arabia and all these countries, Iraq and all these, important locations. And if you notice, like, a couple things happen. One, this guy, Soleimani, whatever his name is, he could have been taken out for the last 10 years. Obama didn't want to take him out. Bush didn't want to take him out because we take him out, it created bigger issues than keeping him in there. I mean, that I think that was pretty obvious. The second most amazing thing was the second this went down, all of U.S.'s allies who have been completely turned off by Trump, I think it's just a fact, they're like, yeah, we're not going to comment on this right now. And Israel, who U.S. has been an unbelievable, Trump is an unbelievable supporter of, they were like, oh, no, we didn't do shit here. We are not involved in this thing. Do not fuck with us. Don't put your missiles towards us. This isn't our gig. We didn't plan any of this stuff. We weren't involved. So he was on his own. And the Iranians are like, okay, we can come back and, with full force. And we can be honest also, like the Iranians bombed the oil refinery not that long ago, and they launched, I think, 20 missiles, and 17 missiles hit within 1 meter of their target. So they didn't try and hurt anybody on this at all. They knew that there were no U.S. Soldiers in this place. So I think they're just saying, like, there's no support for this, right? And what they want is what happened. The Iraqi government said, hey, America, get out. Like, you're going to cause trouble in our country. They voted, and the prime minister said, we want the soldiers out. So imagine if that all happens. They've already moved out of Saudi Arabia, right? They moved out of the Kurds. There's a big area for Iran. Iran's doing great right now under this foreign
This
policy.
is also what Trump wants, though.
Russia. They're like, this is good. I want to mess this up. We're getting everything we wanted over the last 10 years.
I feel like Trump's getting exactly what he wants too, because I feel like Trump honestly does want out of those countries, but he's just having a hard time selling it. If the Iraqis are like, ask us to leave, maybe Trump got together with the Iranians and like, look, I know you've been complaining about that salami guy for a while. I know you don't care for him.
Both were a mutual problem.
Maybe I take him out for you. You blow up the shed, and I leave Iraq. Does that work for you? What do you mean you're going to shoot down your own airline? Don't do that.
What is wrong with you? Why would you do that?
What did the Ukrainian? I didn't see Ukraine coming into this at all. I mean, if that's what you want, no Americans will be on board. Canadians, fuck Trudeau. All right.
This is a solid theory, Kyle.
They call me racist. He's the one blackface up.
It's probably That's
There was a poll out today. USA Today just asked a pretty significant number of Americans if they felt more safe, less safe, since the events of the last bunch of days. And I was really surprised. And it was the overwhelming percentage was less safe. And
I feel less safe.
I did too.
I want to know the
same.
polling dates on that. That's huge to me because I felt a lot differently 2 days ago than I do today.
Same.
It was a day ago. Yeah, it came out today, so it was done 2 days ago. I just think we haven't seen anywhere.
Right, that's what I was trying to get out. If I'm Iran, the virtue signal I send right now is we're done, we're cool, chill, bro, no more. And then I lie about that and bide my time. Like that might be one strategy you use. What the worst one to use is let's keep fighting. Like
they're furious at us.
Yeah, let's keep fighting with the United States of America. That's not the signal you want to put out there. You'd rather do it asymmetrically and go sink a ship 3 months from now.
Did you see their statement? Did you see the Iran statement?
No.
Like what they came out with? They said, this is a proportionate response given, what happened, blah, 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 right? It was the most sane, intelligent response because they're trying to flip the table and be like, the Trump's unhinged. America's what the hell's going on here? Like we're the good actor now. Like they totally flipped the tables.
Reagan looked unhinged too, and it turned out to be really effective for him in dealing with the Cold War stuff. Right? Reagan asked for disarmament at a level where you remember Kyle. You put that thing out there. You're like, we would say we have this small plan, this medium plan, and then this outrageously great plan, and they would take somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. Trump put out this outrageously great thing. Let's disarm in this really wild way. And everyone was like, Reagan, I meant to say Reagan. Reagan, you're asking for too much. This is not a thing that the Russians will agree to. And they did. And it turned out to be really successful. And part of it was like they didn't know what Reagan would do. Reagan looked unhinged. Reagan, would threaten to bomb people. He'd do these television things. I'd watch him as a kid, and he'd talk about Star Wars and all sorts of insanity.
He was a cowboy, literally.
Yeah. And it turned out that unpredictability worked in his favor. So
didn't Trump say he was gonna I know we already have really, really harsh sanctions on Iran. Didn't he say he was gonna make them even worse?
Yeah, and I'm sure Canada's gonna follow suit after.
Because if he does, we're just gonna they're just gonna get even madder at us over time, So I think that lends towards what you're saying, Woody. Where eventually their economy will be in such shambles and shit.
At some point, how mad can they get? How much madder can they be? It seems like they've been mad for so long.
Yeah, well, a lot of countries are mad at us. And
then it's complicated.
Sanctions, and Russians are giving them plenty of money. They're somehow figuring it out. They've had massive sanctions on them for since the
forever.
hostage crisis of 1970, whatever it was.
I have a friend. He served in the Middle East, and he watches the show. By the way, hey Todd. Every time we talk about this, he's expert in the topic. He all these guys feel this way. These guys feel this way. These guys, lead up through this chain of command, and my takeaway from it is always, well, one, he seems to know what he's talking about, and two, boy, oh boy, this is complicated.
It's so complicated.
So to say like Iran feels this way, well, Iran actually is pretty divided, and Iraq is pretty divided, and some Iraqis are more loyal to Iran and vice versa, surprisingly, and they don't think is a solid group. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just glad that things didn't escalate out of hand, and it seems like it's on the way to a cool down. I think especially because they messed up and shot down that airliner. I think that I think that was a
stroke of luck, huh?
I think it might end up being a stroke of luck for world peace that happened. It's a terrible thing that it happened. You know what else happened? Like the same day, there was like a magnitude 5 earthquake also in Iran. It was so bizarre that all three of those things were happening simultaneously. And I had to look on Reddit and the comments to see what people were saying, and they were like, "Seismo attack?" ? And I'm like, no, maybe.
Yeah.
Did Trump release the seismic attack weapons? Are they giving him the red button on those too? Do we have maybe? I don't know.
It might just be an earthquake. I saw a bunch of people the night of, and I haven't seen anything of it since.
Yeah.
So that's probably proven wrong. But people being like, "Oh, Iran just tested an enormous weapon right there to show, like, oh fuck, they've got heavier arms than we think." And then since that evening, I haven't seen a single person say that. So I assume that's been debunked.
Yeah, it definitely would be if they had. They definitely didn't detonate any sort of nuclear weapon.
Israel took out Iran's nuclear site, and that was the seismic activity. Look into it.
Are you kidding around? Or?
I don't know.
I'm fucking around, and look into it is code for
stupid
conspiracy theory.
This is Eddie Bravo's stupid conspiracy theory. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the sort of situation where God knows what's actually happening, like, behind the scenes with maybe even special forces or
what
who
if?
Knows what.
What if there's someone on that plane that they wanted killed, right? Like this, for all I know, like someone.
That's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, look into it. Hillary took the plane down to get rid of an Epstein connection.
Oh shit.
It happened.
Oh shit, that's what it was. They had the dossier.
No, I don't have any evidence yet.
She had there was somebody on that plane. There was somebody on that plane with both video footage. They had the Trump P tape and the Bill Clinton Epstein Island tape, all on one freaking DVD, and they were heading to Canada with it to give it to Trudeau.
Someone didn't set their phone to airplane mode and tweeted as they were taking off, "I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton." And then that's what happened. She called her buddy in Iran, and they took care of it.
Look into it.
It is probably that happened.
I mean, sometimes you just have to use Occam's razor. The simplest explanation.
Clearly, Hillary's behind it all.
If it was some dude who accidentally shot that, man, he's had a rough week.
He did.
Iran.
It's
he's
totally
dead.
Because if you think about it, if we were attacking, the United States were attacking Iran, like the first thing we always do is take out those missile sites, right? You've got to imagine if you're that guy over there operating the missile site, like you're the first guy on the target list if the attack is coming, and you being quick on the button might literally be the difference between not just winning the battle or winning the war, but surviving today. You know, and I just imagine the guys just
better safe than sorry.
Launch. I think that's literally what happened. It seems really negligent that could have even happened.
It says Delta on the side of the airplane, like Delta Force. That's why I shut it down.
It's the Delta Force. The red, white, and blue. It's definitely them.
Yeah. It says American Airline. Yeah. It's just...
It wasn't a bad accent either.
I don't know if it was or not.
It says American Airlines. I don't know.
We'll never know. I guarantee the guy who pressed that button's in a heap of trouble, and I don't think Iran is the slap you on the back of the wrist kind of military.
Yeah, Well, if what happened if one of our guys did that?
But
Like
Well,
he'd be
they
in
have done
military
it.
prison,
Did
right?
anything happen to him? No, I don't think so.
Johnson, not again.
Yeah.
You're on mess duty.
Yeah.
Kitchen patrol.
Yeah.
Uh,
They go like police style, paid vacation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll teach you to
probably
beat the
so.
shit out of people needlessly.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, I'm glad. I feel like that was literally dodged a bullet. No, maybe not. Yeah, literally dodged some missiles, maybe even.
Yeah, those guys didn't, but no, they're never wrong.
I'll be honest. I've swung back the other way. I'm team IDF now as well. Like for a while they had me. For a while they had me, on the other side because they were showing me a lot of burnt up crispy babies. And then that aid group that's what really upset me a little bit. It seemed like a bridge too far for me when the aid group seemingly were like precision struck, like their car had a hole through it where the missile hit, and it's like, well, hang on, why aren't we shooting white people in cars? These are definitely not your terrorists who came on October 7th. These are just feeding like.
So help me understand, who shot the aid group?
You didn't
Israel.
hear what Kyle's upset about? They were white.
No, but wait, I maybe I misunderstood the start of it. I thought Kyle had swung back and become
I have.
Israel.
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because you
that
like
was-
people who kill aid workers?
Well, no, what I was saying was there was a time when they were showing a lot of crispy babies, and they were showing, like I said, that aid group getting struck, and I was, oh, this is no good. You guys are bad. But I'm coming back around the other way. I mean, they're just trying to win that war that they didn't start. And then they released that video today of them like torturing those lady hostages and stuff, and that brought a lot of people back too. If you watched it, they need to show more people that stuff, because I feel like people are only seeing the awful stuff that the Israelis are doing.
I've seen enough of.
They cut their Achilles
dead people.
tendons, Taylor, so they couldn't run away.
I don't want to see. Is this another beheaded babies thing, or is
They
it like,
beheaded babies? They cooked them in ovens.
they retracted that? You're so far
I
behind,
think
dude.
that's been
I
bumped on
I
the
just don't think so.
40 babies or something. The
Definitely
daycare
not 40
slaughter.
babies.
No,
I'm
I
pretty
can't
sure that's
imagine
the
that being put forward
initial
as fact
reported
for
number, though. I don't
weeks.
think I made that up. Some guy said this on Joe Rogan's podcast, and it kind of resonated with me. He says, all right, you and I are in the house. Some guy breaks in, kills me, and then you kill him because, hey, you were next in line. That's self-defense, right? That's not really a close call. You're allowed to kill that home intruder, right? I think we're all on the same page. Everyone's on the same page. He breaks in the house. He kills me. You kill him. It's in your house. You're cool. Everything's set. Let's go this way. He breaks in your house. He kills me. Then he goes back to his own house. And he's there with 5 or 6 family members, his wife, his 4 kids. He's chilling. He's watching TV. You go to his house and you murder him, his wife, and his children. Is that self-defense? Because that's more what Israel's doing now.
Well, it's called a war, though. It's not about like self-defense. We don't need to stand our ground, and we don't need to be in fear for our lives. There's an existential threat just over the border, feet away. Like you measured in feet how far the bad guys are away. Remember when they were dragging those European women through the in the back of the truck through the streets, and you didn't see anybody upset.
Fantastic feat of upper body strength. Yes.
Everybody's spitting on the raped woman laying there with their leg twisted funny. Everybody's slapping her. The children are, the peasants. Like the Hamas has to defend their hostages from just the populace at large in Palestine. I don't know. I'm on Team Israel on this. I think they're all bad. I think that there might be a few people somewhere who aren't bad, but those people are living such a shitty life because they're not bad, because that they're not of any consequence anywhere. I think most of them are bad. Most of them are either Hamas or Hamas supporters.
If this was Am I the Asshole? I'm firmly everybody sucks here. And that's why I don't like being involved.
Oh,
this was too early to talk
Okay,
about fucking Israel and Hamas in the show.
You're the anti-Boogie. See, no, you're anti-Boogie. Boogie would have been like, they're all good. They're all people. They're all children.
No, you know what?
They're
You know
all
what
God's
Boogie
children.
would do? Boogie would barge into the West Bank, and they'd see just how big and powerful he was, and they wouldn't dare. He would have
Give
shut
them that
right
look,
down.
and they know he means.
You know who we needed?
Netanyahu,
We needed
stop your genocide.
we needed Mark Wahlberg on a paramotor that day. He would have shut that shit right fucking
It wouldn't have
down.
gone down the way it
Yeah.
did. That's all I'm saying.
If he hadn't
That's all I'm
seen,
saying.
he's like, I was supposed to be on those towers. If I haven't seen that Vietnamese guy on the way to work,
Yeah,
and
to rough him up.
I would have been killed.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Marky Mark has a history of hate crimes where he
Yeah.
beats people senseless. Really,
Big hate
really-
crime guy.
Yeah.
He's a big hate crime guy.
Wait, is he a spree hate crimer, or was it a?
Yeah,
was
he's
it
done it a couple times.
A crime of passion.
I think there was definitely like a gay guy, but he beat this Korean man while screaming like
Elderly.
an elderly Korean man. He
Oh,
beat
no.
while
Yeah.
screaming like the right slurs for that man. I don't remember exactly what he called
Like an
him.
educated slur. Like he's not throwing like ones for Vietnamese people out there. Just for, I don't even know what the Korean ones
Korean
are. I'm
slur?
embarrassed. It's my job.
We're only 7 minutes in. I'll say
I'm a professional.
I'm a professional. I saw somebody like within the last couple months, like they posted that commercial that you were in. From time to time, I'll always see someone online be like, "What happened to FPSRussia is despicable, and it's about time we get him his rights back." And I'm always like, retweet, like that. big fan of this. And like then I have fun like reading the comments also, and they'll be like, "What happened to that guy? I haven't seen him in forever." And they'll be like, "He's doing some retarded podcast with two idiots." It's like how far he's fallen.
he's a
And
big
I'm like,
Jew lover now.
you mentioned Israel. This guy can't get enough. Loves it.
I think it's
They don't
terrible.
bring
We're
it
not
up.
giving them their weapons in a timely manner.
No, you know what I want? I think until every American citizen starts getting some weapons from the government, we shouldn't be giving them
right.
anywhere
American
Like
first.
Switzerland.
else.
You
Mhm,
see
like
that pier?
Switzerland.
Where are
that
my
pier?
artillery shells?
Exactly. Where's my space bombs and whatever
You
they're
can get
selling?
artillery. I mean, they won't.
I want
provide
them provided by the government, like everyone else gets.
Woo!
Yeah,
Mandated.
Those are loans.
they're not loans.
You know what they're talking about taking the Russian assets they have frozen and like loaning it to the Ukrainians at interest. And it's like, whoa, who are the bad guys here?
Right? Didn't the French do that to Haiti or something?
This is worse than that. At least they didn't. They're like steal the money from the Russians, and I mean it is stealing. It's their fucking money, even if they are like conducting this illegal war, this invasion, whatever you want to call it. It's their money. We took that money and seized it, and we're saying we'll just loan this to their enemies.
I wonder
We'll
if
make
this
a
will
little on it.
backfire.
I bet they're not going to like it.
Like, didn't we take money from Iran in the 70s? I'm making that part up, and give it back with interest 30 years later, 50 years later, something wild like
no.
that.
I think we did something like that, right?
That was after our coup failed.
We unfroze some of their
Yeah.
assets. Obama did.
We have a good coup record overall, though. I think.
and gave that. I think that $100 million of cash that they, flew over there to the Iranians had something to do with some unfrozen Iranian assets that we've been holding for some long period of time. Seeing their
think he
leader
gave
get
it to him with
Kobe this week.
interest.
I
Wait,
hope
I
not.
love interest.
Kobe,
I-
the best
yeah.
player?
Yeah, the Iranian president got Kobe this week. He got a helicopter murder.
yes,
The butcher of
He got-
Tehran.
Yeah. What is
internet
with
said he
these
got
powerful
stoned with a
individuals and like being like, "No, you will fly me into the fog. I'm the president. I play for the Lakers." Like, no, just fucking take a car. You can afford a limo too.
There's no
Also,
there's no roads
Stevie Ray
there.
Vaughan as well died in a helicopter
They're-
crash.
They're flying from
Yeah.
like Azerbaijan to
Well, this all started with a big bopper.
to back
you
home.
know, and
They're flying over
different-
multiple mountain ranges through this crazy fog
What?
for some reason.
Why is it
But-
so hard to avoid the mountains?
Iran.
Well, I
Iran
don't
is
know,
Very, very
but I'm just saying you
mountainous.
couldn't drive a car. It's not like there's like a
Oh,
it-
yeah.
you
No,
couldn't
I
drive home.
just feel like we've mastered low visibility
have.
flight, right? We've mastered it. It's called instrument flight, right? What is it, IVR, something like that?
Mhm.
Why are these people hitting the land? Don't do that. Avoid the earth part, and you're good.
Oh, helicopters
Iran,
are so
no.
much worse than planes. Planes shit on helicopters.
Do you think we killed them?
Yeah.
I would. I mean, you could. I haven't done any looking into it at all.
I mean,
But I
it's
could
just
see
it's just
it
weird
happening.
timing, you know.
I had to
But,
guess.
like-
Shit,
like
they
if-
may have killed him.
Yeah.
If it was the finals, Game 7 was next week, and Kobe went down in a crash, we'd be like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" But here we are, like Iran.
Is
and
anyone
Royal
taking
funding
credit
this
for it,
war.
or is it? Or is it?
No,
saying it's
oh,
an
this
accident?
isn't the one you take credit for. This is the one you shut up about. This is like some JFK shit. If they killed,
I
this
would
guy.
think so.
But
So
I
what
can
are the
imagine-
theories? Like us, Israel.
Well,
What are
here's
they?
my theory. My theory would be that the fucking Israelis tampered with the instruments on that fucking helicopter in some way to make the instruments that.
No,
Woody's
that's small
referring to-
potatoes. They changed the weather to cause the
They
conditions.
did both.
to
They
make
did
the-
both.
Yeah, they're a remarkably thorough people.
I don't know why everybody's against them. They're clearly the winners.
Who else died in the Iranian president crash?
Like a lot of his cabin. I sent you a list, but it's it's people I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I
It's
didn't know
like,
who
I
those
didn't-
Right.
They're not that famous.
A lot of similar
No.
names. A lot
I didn't
of
know their
H's.
president's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just know him as the Butcher of Tehran. That's all I know him as.
It's a good title.
That's cool. Man, I want to be the butcher of something.
You want to feed people?
The Butcher of St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Active.
Man,
That's
I'd have
already taken.
competition.
That's got to be already taken. Google the Butcher of St. Louis, and
That's
you
the
might
thing,
find
yeah.
a nice place to get some ribeyes, but you might also find a
True.
hammer murderer.
Yeah, from the 30s.
Some 30s hammer murderer. It's a
They love
story
killing people with
tradition. here.
hammers.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah,
That's how we kill people.
it's an old Mizzou tradition.
Did you guys see Israel respond to Iran over
I did.
Twitter?
I did. Who's in charge of Israel's Twitter account?
I
Because
don't
they
know.
are hilarious.
They're fantastic, though. Yeah. So I'm trying to get the exact tweet pulled up here. My thing is loading slow.
They used a Mean Girls meme. It's the blonde girl. She's saying,
Why are you so obsessed with me? I think.
"Why are you so obsessed with me?"
Here,
Yeah,
I have it on my screen now.
yeah. Basically,
So, I'm trying to read who this is from. Kamini. Our stance against Israel is the same as it's always taken. Israel is a malignant, cancerous tumor in the West Asian region that has to be removed and eradicated. It is possible and it will happen. And then Israel comes back and says, "Why are you so obsessed with me?" in a Mean Girls tweet.
that's
Yeah, I like it. I feel like there should be more Twitter diplomacy because I enjoy it.
I'm a big fan. I mean, Donald Trump solved the Korean War with Twitter diplomacy.
I can't argue with that.
That's what we need. More memes and gifts sent between sovereign nations, where they can all send to Iran. Yemen can send Saudi Arabia a big frowny face for the years of bombing and massacring and murdering women and children. They'll send two thumbs down emojis, or maybe like a sassy black woman going, like that kind of thing. Those are huge on Twitter.
I want to see Donald Trump start using some Star Wars memes, like the Emperor going unlimited power, and he's got the lightning coming out of his hands.
Nothing made me laugh as hard at Trump's Twitter than when someone photoshopped that wrestling gif he did with Vince McMahon, and he put CNN on it, and the gif was funny, but what made it funnier was that it's a man in his 70s tweeting a gif. What made it funnier than that is that it's Donald Trump. What made it funnier than that is that he's president. And what made it funnier still is the number of people who were taking this really seriously. Does this mean Trump plans an all-out attack on the CNN corporation? And it's no, it's a GIF.
Yeah,
a GIF of just 10 layers of ridiculousness. Just laugh.
You're right. And I tried. I do my best to avoid getting upset with Trump over stupid shit, right? If you have a problem with his tax plan or that giant spending or the removal of regulations so that financial advisors no longer have to represent the best interests of their clients, shit like that, then that's real. That's fine. Do what you want. Don't get upset over CNN, Twitter bullshit.
I think they're attacking Iran right now.
Right.
I think that Israel's bombing Iran, hitting those nuke sites. They've been talking about it for weeks. The U.S. has been saying, we're not going to do anything, but you never know what Israel might do. They've been sort of saying they're going to do it without saying they're going to do it. Oh, we got video from Iran, explosions.
Ooh,
Look at that. Explosions all over Iran.
that's what we need is another war in the Middle East.
Why does it feel like we're always on the edge of World War II?
3.
3. I lost count. Who counts to 3?
Who knows at this point,
Yeah, I can't remember the first 3 letters of the ABCs.
Yeah,
The,
it feels like we are.
But yeah, when it was Ukraine, Russia, it was is this gonna escalate to World War III? Where is this headed? It seems like it's just gonna stay mostly between those two for a while, I guess.
Yeah.
But now Israel's bombing Iran, which is gonna solidify partnerships that were previously fractured in the Middle East because they all hate Israel. Maybe
it would ideally it would not pull us into it, but who's to say? Because it seems like Israel says jump and our politicians say how high.
It's not true. They asked us to take part in these strikes that are going on right now, and we declined.
We said we'll pay for it, and that's it.
We'll pay for it, and we'll run cover for you at the UN, but that's it.
Mhm.
Anyway,
and we'll train you.
I know the check is late. I'm so sorry, guys.
It's in the mail. It's in the mail.
It's in the mail. Yeah.
It was on the Air India flight. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just
anti-Israel. I don't know what your problem is.
I couldn't care less about the entire Middle East.
You don't know.
The entire Middle East. I don't want anything
haven't you
to do
seen?
with them.
You didn't see what they did? We were watching that clip a couple days ago, and it's all this flour has been spilt out in the dirt, like hundreds of pounds of flour, and they're just digging through the dirt, like getting handfuls of dirty flour and putting it in their shirts to like carry away. And it's so sad. And then out of nowhere, some Israelis start shooting them with machine guns. So everybody's running with their shirts full of dirt flour, trying to get away.
Those Israeli
guns.
heroes were shooting to save their own lives. It was
Stop
them.
flour thieves!
It was them or the Ethiopian-looking starving victims.
And it was probably, Kyle, it was probably that you probably aren't up on this, but there's a new type of C4 that looks exactly like flour. And so they were probably collecting weaponry. Yeah. And so they had to shut that right down.
Dude, wonderful. What if it actually was though? Like what if we found out that what was originally believed to be flour turns out to be ammonium nitrate fertilizer. Later on, the refugees crafted into a bomb, which was detonated outside this school you see here. He's like, oh fuck, I was led astray.
If we saw that, we'd
die the whole time.
We'd have to really reevaluate. Yeah, I'd feel real dumb. But I'm like near positive it was flour.
Make such good propaganda.
Yeah, that shit's crazy.
We could make such good propaganda for the Israelis. I wish they'd hire us. See that right there? We just came up with a way to spin that whole situation. Flour?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's ammonium nitrate. Didn't you hear? Yeah, it was look on Snopes. You know, you need lie.
This is lies.
We control Snopes.
We control Snopes. We create the Snopes lies. Yeah, there is nothing for us in the Middle East. Every single thing that happens in the Middle East, it's always a disaster. It's always terrible. It's never like awesome new ice cream flavor discovered in fucking Lebanon. No, it's always something horrible. And we've had enough. You guys handle your own shit. Clearly you got some ethnic tensions going back millennia.
You guys ever been to Dubai?
Problem.
Dubai, no.
I've never been to Dubai.
Amazing.
So Dubai is like it reminds me a lot of Vegas because there's an air of like there's a big air of fakeness and nothing was here 5 minutes ago. So like in the 60s it was literally a desert and now it's like this sprawling metropolis and these super big high rises and $1 billion whatever's everywhere. And it just seems like I always think about Dubai like this. It seems Americanish and like westernized up until the point where you realize like, oh shit, things are a little different here. It's like talking to Tom Cruise. Like if you talk to Tom Cruise, you go, oh, he's a pretty nice guy. He's a pretty nice guy. And then you like tell him one thing and go, oh shit, he's fucking crazy. Oh, I did not know this. So I think it was in Dubai, like some woman got sexually assaulted and then she went to jail, which is like, and then you can't, they have these,
it's very
really, yeah, it is. And they have like these really backwards laws, and
was her brother or guardian with her?
Yeah. Does she have 3 witnesses?
She's probably driving that harlot.
There is, for every millionaire, there's 100 people living in abject poverty, but just in the slums outside of town. So it's just really weird. I don't know. I've never gotten like a good vibe from the place. It's cool. It's cool to visit, but just like Vegas, like in Vegas, you don't want to stay there for more than 3 days. As if you're visiting.
Nosebleeds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah. From the cocaine.
Razor boogers.
No, the desert air. The desert air. Of course. It's very dry.
It's this damned desert air.
It's a dry heat. It's a dry
air
heat.
gets me going.
Man, I feel fucking wild on this desert air.
Let me put you my big ideas.
We'll see if the big beautiful bill that robs our grandchildren blind goes through or not.
But don't worry, Kyle. There's plenty of money in there for Israel. Because they're popping
we don't
off
run out of
right
ink,
now.
we'll
And they're
be
going to
just
need
fine.
it. Yeah. That's crazy. Hopefully that doesn't escalate even more. But it always
this This is a good
It
thing.
always feels
Iran's
like
over
we're
there
right on the cusp.
They're enriching uranium. They needed a good blowing up. That's my genuine feelings. Look, I don't like Israel any more than the.
But we're okay with them enriching uranium, right? Like
No.
Trump's made a deal where they're allowed to have nuclear power plants.
No, they're enriching it too far. It's like the difference between 87 octane and some 110 racing fuel that they're crafting out of ethanol and evil. You know, it's like, yeah, we said you could have gasoline. That's rocket fuel. You know, that's what they're doing.
But so not knowing what I'm talking about, I wondered if having Iranians operate nuclear power plants for the next 15, 20, 50 years, along the way, they'd learn enough to make nuclear missiles.
They would, yeah. Like I would think so. I mean, like, have you seen?
They already have the missiles. So the missile technology is just something you buy.
Nuclear warheads, perhaps I should have said.
The miniaturization of the material and putting it in the warhead is the hardest part after the enrichment, which they seem to have a handle on. But that needs to be blown up. I'm sure if Israel launched strikes, then it needed to be done. I'm not even being facetious. I really
they're not ones to make the rubble bounce. They only do the minimum and what's absolutely necessary.
I too take a dim view to some of the heavy-handed tactics being used in Palestine, or excuse me, Western Israel. But
no, it's just. Have you seen the charts of like all the times Netanyahu has stoked the flames about Iran's nuclear capabilities?
I've seen the charts. Have you ever seen
like
one of those?
It's like
a high school science fair. It's a ticking. This is how long America has left to live, and it's like 3 seconds left.
It's like the Netanyahu chart I saw. It was like 1992. Iran is within 2 years of having ICBMs that are have nuclear capacity for payload, and then 1994, and then 1996, then every couple of years,
some driving car claims.
Yes, it's like the same thing over and over, and now it's like again, like Iran's going to nuke us.
You know what
Netanyahu
would say to your
like, you know why Iran wants the nukes so bad? It's because Israel has nukes. That's why they want them so bad.
You know what Netanyahu
and Israel has real deal nukes. They have the Jericho missile that could like reach LA if they wanted to. Like it's a real deal nuclear missile.
Look at this cartoon bullshit.
Taylor, checkmate.
Very scientific right here with the Wile E. Coyote.
I was going to use the same reference. Yeah.
That's so funny. This looks like
I dumb it down for you Americans.
What they don't show in this photo is every American congressman standing and applauding. They don't want to be the first one to sit down. They have to stand and keep applauding. Yeah, this is like a fucking Tim and Eric sketch. How ridiculous that is. With
Taylor, the reason that these charts keep looking out of date or like poorly aged milk is because of the actions of Israel. Because when they go in there and they blow up these nuclear facilities, all of a sudden that cartoon cherry bomb gets a little less full of Iranian nuclear evil.
It lessens a little bit. And,
they
also
drain it
like
a little.
Iran is one of those countries that's like big talk. They're like, we will not stand for this anymore. And then it's like, really? Because it looks like you're going to keep standing for it. Oh, look, you did keep standing for it. And so, like, they're a big blustering nation. Seemingly.
Oh, yeah? So you don't think there's going to be any, like, counterstrike tonight, then, from the Iranians? They won't shoot ballistic missiles at Israel?
I'll take that bet. It won't be tonight.
It's coming tonight or tomorrow night.
Well, I mean, I'm out now.
Didn't
it's really about the 3-hour turnaround.
I mean, we killed Soleimani.
They're mad about that. They put a hit out on Trump for that.
They put a hit out on Trump. They don't. Iran is like a powerful country within the Middle East, very much so, but they don't have the ability to project power outside of their region.
Is it hard?
They have ballistic
missiles. How hard
missiles.
is it to shoot? Like
shoot what?
The president. Like is he that protected all the time?
That teenager couldn't knock it out. I'll tell you that.
Well, if he had a better scope, maybe he could. I just don't know how hard. I don't know whether presidents rarely get assassinated because people aren't motivated or because it's really hard to pull off.
We're not going to find out tonight.
I'm not going to shoot him. My plan is to vote against him.
You promise?
Yes.
That's such a funny question. Do you promise?
What about you, Taylor? Do you promise not to raise arms against Donald Trump?
Never in my life. I'll go wherever Trump leads. When that means that I have to carry a gun and storm into Iran for no benefit to me and mine, I will be gunned down.
No one is storming into Iran. No one is going there. We're just going to blow up their toys when we decide that they're looking too cool.
Into the blue cities.
Yeah, we just need to keep doing exactly what we've been doing for decades in the Middle East. And
those Iranians are a bunch of no goodniks. All right, it's I'm not going to whitewash their crimes, their evils. They're propping up of all these terroristic regimes, the Houthis and so on and so forth. The bad folk of the world.
That's true. That's true. They attacked that ship of ours in the Mediterranean in the 1950s.
That was the other guys. That was
USS Liberty. When was that? Am I wrong?
I think it was the 50s.
62. Was it 62?
I thought it was either early 60s. I'm going to go
67, 50s. But I'm still looking.
Do an over and under on Dad's Taylor. How many you think died?
36.
Okay. It is 67.
I think it's 32. How many died? Oh, you see,
67 was the year.
I'm going to say 32. You say 36 deaths? What do you got, Woody?
Yeah.
How many Americans were slaughtered?
I know the number. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, yes.
34.
Oh, look at that!
Oh, right in the middle.
You went over.
Look at us. The perfect. You average our answers. We're on the fucking money.
All right. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Pretty good stuff.
We know.
Look, that was an accident. Okay. Look. I don't like it when people start causing a big fuss every time one of our missiles go awry and blow up a fucking Jordanian wedding. Okay. I figure people just need to understand shit happens when you party naked, and occasionally we're going to fuck up. All right? We're blowing up all sorts of shit. You think that was the only wedding we blew up that day? No. We blew up 8 weddings that day. That was the only one that complained.
Oh, no. I didn't know we blew up so many weddings that day.
I don't think that's true. And shit happens when you party naked is hilarious.
That is fun. That's a good quote for Trump to bust out. A lot of smart people telling me shit happens when you party naked, not to be offensive.
But in the movie Bad Santa, that snot-nosed little kid, that's what his shirt says. What does it take to join the IDF? Like if you're a foreign national and you want in, do you just need a passport and a drive, or do I need like a percentage of Jewish heritage, blood, so to speak, Jew blood? To put it plainly, do I need, how much Jew blood do I need to be able to join up with the IDF?
They're like, Mr. Myers, we can't let you in. You can't show up with the blood in vials.
My friend Harley hooked me up.
He gave me a big bag of Jew blood.
Harley's so woozy.
He's so tired. He's so sleepy.
For the homeland. Because I know if Harley were to get on a plane and land in Tel Aviv, they'd be like, "All right, soldier, extra large helmet, huh?" Like they just throw him right in there because they're mustering right now hundreds of thousands of foot troops.
I think everybody knows military service in Israel is mandatory, which means that all these 25-year-olds are veterans and kind of ready to get right back in the game.
I'm hearing what I'm hearing is that the last the current class, if you will, or maybe for the current generation of IDF was complacent and ill-trained, and maybe they didn't have their eye on the ball or weren't motivated because I guess nothing horrible has happened for a while. But I've been watching a bunch of CNN. What's going to be crazy?
They're all better than us, though. They are ex-military and knows how to. I lumped you in there. You can operate a rifle better.
I don't know. I don't know anything about being in the military, though. I don't know. Like you'd say some military shit. And you'd be like this,
fake
and
I'd be like,
I'd be like, "Well, you want to go? You want to go?" He's like, "Oh, you're gonna kill me, huh? Oh, let's fucking go. Let's take this shit off."
Yeah,
you're only American. I came here to fight with you, brother. Oh, we're gonna have some pop. He's trying to tell me down and be quiet and cut it out and shit. And I don't know his army man hand signals because I'm a fucking guy that shot watermelons on YouTube. So, but what I would say is that if they have 300,000 or 400,000 man army that they're mustering, that would seemingly be because they're gonna maybe form a perimeter, make sure we're secure, get the borders guarded, but then invade an area that's the size of New Jersey and is half the population's 18 or below, right? One of the most densely populated areas on the planet. they've been dropping whole neighborhoods for a week now. I mean, just man, that is some shoddy construction work. It's almost like they made it out of mud brick because no one lets them have building supplies, but who knows?
Yeah.
But that they've been dropping whole blocks of neighborhoods, but I think they're going to invade. I think they're going to go in with like boots on the ground, door to door, like we did in Fallujah.
When Russia was threatening to invade Kiev, I saw this Ukrainian soldier being like, "Come, I dare you." There'll be a rifle pointed out of every window. Every civilian is an information source on your location. It is not safe here. Bring it. And I don't know. I was just like, holy shit. And by the way, that all sounds true. Not every window, but there will be snipers. There will be all Russians are just going to get picked off in Kiev, and they'll guerrilla warfare on it. So, Kiev. Anyway, so they're going into Gaza, and my knee-jerk reaction, my first thought was like, dude, Israel's just way OP in this, right? They're going to smash these guys, and they have combined arms and the whole nine. But then it's like, it's hard to beat a motivated bunch of guerrilla warfare guys.
It is, but if they're like doing like huge carpet bombing raids and like, I don't think Gaza even controls their own water supply.
Oh, let me speak on that because if I want to invade your house and I control your food and your water, there could not be an easier invasion. Like, so I just wait till you're destroyed.
Kyle needs
so in general, the citizens of Gaza have like an amount of water each that they have every day. It's below, like, there's some health organizations, like a human being, the exact amount of, like 4 liters of water a day for X, Y, and Z. They get like 2 or something. Funny math, but you get my point. And so they have these big black rain barrels on the roof of every building. If you look, you'll see them. Big barrels. They're full of water because they're storing up water because they don't have enough on tap daily. Of course, the other people do. In any case, they to be fair though, they didn't build any water infrastructure for themselves, and you know the Israelis have all the water. Luck of the draw. The Israelis have all the water. And look, they're not selling the water. Okay, they're giving it away. So
I would
sure
say they're Jewish.
No, I'm not sure. I'm making that up. I'm not sure. They're not selling the water when they got all the water. That'd be awful. And the Israelis are good. Do you remember that? There's a speech at the end of Julius Caesar where I think it's Mark Antony. He's up there and he keeps saying an awful thing that Brutus and Gaius has done. You know, look how they rent noble Caesar's body here. Look at the wound there where Cassius's blade stabbed, and where Brutus's like wound fell. And he's like, showing, but these are noble men. Who can deny that these are noble men? He keeps going back to that. That's his fucking chorus for the fucking song of deception he's singing. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite things. I don't know Shakespeare, but I know that speech. I love it. I relish it I play it all the time.
Is it in Rome, the TV show?
So they don't do the speech itself, but what you get, and I actually like this, is they have common folk in a bar describing having heard the speech. They're like, fucking Brutus go up there. And he's all blah, 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 economy, numbers, money, this and that. And Mark Antony got up there. Everybody likes Mark, you know. At first, he was saying how what they'd done was good. And then I started thinking maybe it wasn't. And it's his slow-witted like brain. Like he's explaining how he was duped by the slickest guy in Rome because Shakespeare's writing him to just completely win the crowd over and turn a crowd that was there to be like, yeah, down with the dictatorship, to one that was like, get those motherfuckers that fucked up Caesar. At the very end, the crowd is incensed. They're roiling. They're ready to get somebody and burn a fucking house and get their wives too. And he's like, wait, noble friends, you have forgotten the will of Caesar that you would bid me read. Give me a moment. Let me read what Caesar has left unto you. To each and every man 100 dinar. And everybody's, Caesar's so generous. And he has left unto every Roman man to walk in his orchards and his parks and his gardens of leisure For all time they are given to the Roman people. Oh, mighty Caesar! Oh, and then it's just he's got them boiling by the end of it. I love that fucking
That's
scene.
cool.
Charlton Heston's like one of the best
On
actors ever.
I think where Kyle was headed, I think Israel turned off the water, food,
They
and
turned off the
electricity
water and the food and
a
the
couple days
electricity.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't
Yeah.
last long with no water, food,
You last-
electricity.
Without water, 3 days. Right? So
Yeah.
I know Kyle's
Well, they're
Water
not
goes
out of
forward
water.
with it.
They're just out of water pressure. What's interesting is you can see as
Okay.
they run out of fuel for their generators because
Hmm.
at first it was like, yeah, it's Gaza, that dimly lit place over there. And it's like, that's Gaza, that place. Yeah, you see a window there, and that's where the hospital is. You can tell because they have generators. And now it's like, yeah, it's that dark, murky land in the distance. And I'm just imagining, like, now that they've got the whole city or the whole place, I don't know what to call it,
Region.
fucking blacked out. Now they can send in those fucking scary ass tier 1 ghost warriors that see fucking your body heat and shoot suppressed machine gun bullets in the night with robo dogs and shit.
But-
I wish that I could watch a movie about what's happening right now with special forces in
I feel
Gaza.
like we just glossed over it. They shut off their food, water, and electricity. The hospitals, they're dark now. All those babies on intubators, they just died. They're done. Everyone who needed electricity to survive in that hospital is dead now.
Yeah.
It's unfathomable to me that, like, what, a hospital with no power? No. They have like backups, and then the backups have backups. They're out of power. All those people are going to die. And oh, by the way, I imagine the hospitals are quite busy right now. You know,
Yeah. The ones that are standing.
So, and no water. Like, no water. Now, Kyle said no water pressure. I don't know how to differentiate. Like,
I was just kind of joking about their horrible situation. More of her saying that they've got like those tanks of water, so like they've got
for
some
now,
water.
they're probably rationing.
Oh
and
yeah, I mean they're going to
skipping-
run out
yeah.
of water to drink and food to eat, and
Like this
they won't
weekend.
have any. Some people are out of water this second and have been out of
Yeah.
water for a couple days, I'm sure. And then there's some
They're
guy
going
who's
to start
going
fighting
to be.
each other, perhaps.
I'm sure there'll be people who like never run out of water. They're like, yeah, I have so much, but
Now,
the
that
main
guy
thing-
might get shot by his friend.
I saw him using phosphorus last night.
Israel did.
Yeah, lots of.
Isn't that against the war rules? Or
Whose
no?
rules are you speaking of?
Yeah,
exactly.
Even America sent cluster bombs to Ukraine. Like, and I was for that, by the way. But those rules apparently seem pretty.
We didn't agree to that. Like, so the cluster bomb thing, there's like 3 countries that didn't sign on, and it's like us, Russia, and Korea or something. Oh, that's the mine one. But there's a bunch of them that are like that. They're like, yeah, no, we're not going to take our force multiplying thing that we developed that cost that over the last few decades that kills the shit out of you. We're going to keep using it. We're going to keep using it. Phosphorus. You'll see if you watch the footage, you'll see little bits of white burning stuff falling down seemingly slowly.
Like
but if it
sprinklers,
touches you,
like the 4th of July.
Yeah, if it touches you, it just burns you horrifically, and it starts lots of fires too. I'm surprised lots of Gaza isn't burning already if they're using that. I saw them use it out there. You've probably seen that, like,
can I say
that
something?
place where the boats are, the lagoony area. I
Mhm.
saw them hit that with that stuff.
I just linked together. Maybe you guys are. I bet everyone listening to this is faster than me, but I'm like, oh, actually, white phosphorus burning down on the buildings is a rough combo with no water. Like, those two things work together.
Oh no,
Yes.
water makes white phosphorus worse. Actually,
I
the
forget-
sand
it
is
might
going to
put-
help them here.
So I agree with what
But
you're
once
saying.
we have what we need.
But we have the rest of the building to concern ourselves with too, and the
Yeah.
building, burning the building next to it. And water's, I think, part of the
Their
solution.
primary building material seems to be mud brick.
It does, yeah.
It
Yeah, I
does
don't
not-
think that they control their own like construction
Building
material.
supplies?
Like everything has to go through
Yeah.
Israel, right?
Oh.
Is
I
that
would
right?
imagine so.
so.
Yes.
I think so. Everything else does. The people do.
Yeah,
I would
water.
imagine
If
that
water
any
does,
alien-
I would imagine.
It's an
yeah.
open air prison. That's what Gaza is. So let's just apply those rules. I think they use mackerel as money.
They might be using Max because they clearly don't have access to anything that
They can't have cigarettes. Anymore.
Israel doesn't allow them to have.
Well, you know what he
seemingly.
says. Fuck around and find out.
I'm really struggling with that and my own hypocrisy, right? Because I'm like all about this Ukraine. I'm obviously we should go in there and help. And then it happens in Israel, and I'm like, neither side has a halo in this, and like, I don't know if I'm
Jews
right
believe
to
in
say
angels?
that.
I'm pretty sure that's anti-Semitic language you just used.
That's wildly anti-Semitic.
In my
You
defense, it
don't
comes purely out of ignorance.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, the whole thing's awful.
It is.
You know, I don't blame anyone for I don't blame the Israelis for what they're doing, because it's like, you got to be so
Right.
mad and just want blood. Like if that happened here, look. Now I will say this: my hands are a little bit cleaner than the Israelis are, I would imagine. But if that happened here, you could imagine the hatred. I know Woody remembers like the motivation around 9/11. Like, you were mad at whoever did this. Like, we got to get that Osama bin Laden guy for sure. We should torture that guy. It's like, we should get him. I don't care about the fucking rules. Get him.
About fighting Osama bin Laden if that scenario would ever happen. I used to consider.
All right, Osama.
Yeah, right. We
Me and
send
you.
upon you, Woody, rip and tear until it is done.
I didn't hear no bell.
Yeah, but you know, he's
Take
6'6",
Osama.
he's
a
long and
skinny
lanky.
fuck. I don't know.
He comes at you like Lincoln, right? He's got like some
Right.
long
He
underhanded
would come at
jab.
you like Lincoln. He was like 6'5", wasn't he?
Yeah, like tall and lanky.
I honestly
he's wearing
think
those robes, so he's hard to get a beat on where his where to hit him.
32-year-old Woody kicks his ass. He does.
Oh,
I'm gonna fuck him up. I swear to God.
Yeah, well,
I don't
now
know,
he's
man.
living
Osama-
safely in Argentina.
But yeah, what I'm saying is like, man, that just made you bloodthirsty, and I get that's part of being a human, is being a bloodthirsty. Oh yeah, motherfucker. Well, let me show you what we can do. You don't even know what we're going to do when we find you after what you did to us. That's like in our blood. Like, you can feel it when you in a movie, when you watch an internet video and some poor old man is just trying to go through his day and some piece of shit's beating him, and then fucking Karate Master comes out of nowhere to kick that guy in the side of the head. You don't care that he fell poorly and his head hit the sidewalk. You're like, yeah, that's what fucking happens. You get brain damage for picking on old men. You get that's part of us. It's like, smash his skull, smash his skull. Like we're all ready to do that.
It's one of my core principles. You're allowed to win. You are allowed to be bigger and stronger than your opponent. That's within the rules. I every once in a while in hockey, I see some guy get called
Taylor
for
knows
a legal check because he's big. Yeah, right. I get some guy called for a check in hockey, and I'm like, no, he's allowed to hit him. He's just big and strong. Don't call a penalty for that.
Yeah.
Back to Israel. They attacked Israel, right? I think the math proportionally works out to be like 7 9/11 simultaneously on one day. Imagine if that happened to us. And
9,473.
like the amount of people they have dead compared to their population, etc. So anyway, now Israel's hitting them back, and I'm like, yeah, you fuck around, find out that's okay. Israel can. You did enough that Israel's justified a disproportionate response, in my opinion. But it makes it trickier for me when I consider that, like, they've turned
a lot of them
Gaza
are kids, and they are in an open
part
air
of it for me
prison, and
is
they're in an open air prison.
nowhere to run.
Their grievances were really legit. They just handled it in the wrong way. I wish instead of devoting that money to like 5,000 simultaneous missiles and paramotors and whatever, they just got attorneys. I bet it'd be more effective.
Attorneys against Israel?
If you think the Iron Dome is good, when you see our Lord.
Do you know how badly Israel would bamboozle the fuck out of Palestinian attorneys?
You thought we were tough on the battlefield. Welcome to court.
They'd have like jokes. They'd be like, "Who is Jewish? All of us say."
Okay.
I'm sorry. Is this your first case?
Influencers. Palestine, they just need
Judge
to own
Yarmulke, how do you find?
Judge Yarmulke, how do you find? Yeah, I don't think
Hang on, let me
they're going to
finish
win
these
any
lots.
legal battles with Israel. I imagine
Sam?
Israel has a crack team of attorneys.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, I mean, look. All I know is when I watch, I'm like, oh, it does get to that point after a while. It's like, you got him,
right?
You got them. They're crawling away. They're like, yes, we know. Now it will be easy to hit them. It's like, well, hang on, you hit him. Now he can't crawl anymore. This is my favorite.
They're just warming up. They're only warming up. Like they may have accomplished disproportional response already.
I think they already got him.
100%.
I'm gonna be honest. They already got him. And everything that happens like now, it just really seems like it's like when that dad gets the pedophile, right?
Mm-hmm.
He goes all the way. So they're going all the way, and I don't think anybody can stop them, and I don't think anybody is. I hope they don't strike Iran too much. I know they blew up some
or at all.
Oh, interesting.
I know they blew up some landing strips in in Syria, maybe in Damascus, and then somewhere else because drones were being launched out of Lebanon and Syria at them from the north and I guess northeast. Geography is definitely not my strong suit, but yeah, if they go in there like Fallujah style, it's gonna really kick off because then what you get is an insurgency because people from around the world are like, "Oh my God, are you telling me that Israel's going in on foot in Gaza?" Man, that's what I do. He like shows you his medals. He's like Syria 2017 champion or whatever. Like that's how you get an insurgency is when you're like, hey, we're the people you hate. We're on the ground. Don't come in here though. We wouldn't like that. We're dealing with your friends and relatives and countrymen and religion and the people who worship the same God as you. We're going to kill them. Don't sneak in here through tunnels through Egypt and Lebanon and Syria. But that's exactly what will happen. They need to get in there and get out. If they get in some protracted thing that's months and months like Ukraine is doing, it's going to be nasty.
Is it possible to end Gaza? Just
take it. Like they want to
kill them all.
Like they absolutely.
I don't know what you do. Kill them all. Give them an opportunity to run.
How many of them are there?
There's a couple million.
1 and 2 million is. I've heard 1 million and 2 million. So that's a big difference. I get it, but there you go.
It's a lot of people. A lot of.
Do you just
kids
kill 100,000 of them and then give the other 900,000 an opportunity to leave and not come back?
Why don't they give them an opportunity now?
Oh, I thought
who can swim?
You got to kill. You got to kill. 10%.
Head that way. America. Look, America's that way.
That's a long swim. Yeah,
you're goddamn right,
Taylor. Maybe it's a good idea to get. Actually, I think they're letting them out now, or are they just warning them? I forget.
They ain't letting nobody out.
I don't think they're letting anybody out, but I don't know.
I do know that they're warning them before they bomb their building. I think we talked about this on PKN. They either call or they send. So there's
they yell.
They said they're going to kill the hostages. No, I should have finished my sentence. They send a shell or a rocket with no explosion. So now all you have is the equivalent of like a tree hitting your house, but you've been warned. The next one's going to go boom.
Yeah.
That's what they're.
That's
doing.
how you. Well, it is going on. You can tell because you get this footage where the Palestinians or Hamas or whomever is in the area will film the destruction of the building because they're going to hit this building in 30 minutes. Get the camera set up. So they'll have a GoPro in the street on a tripod. And the video will say that description is that in case you're wondering how we have why the camera is set up, because everybody's a conspiracy theorist. It's because the Israelis let them know that this is where they're going to drop their bomb. So we set up our camera here to film them drop the bomb. So it's, but they're not always giving them those warnings. Like I guarantee they dropped. Zach, I wish you'd find the number for exactly how many bombs they've dropped so far. It's thousands of bombs, thousands of buildings. It's got to be so many people. It's got to be It's got to be 10,000 people they've killed at least, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if they. It's
very densely packed.
Will they stop at 50, 100? Like I don't know what they're going to do. They're going hard over there, and seemingly no one in that country
6,000. What
6,000 bombs?
Oh, he didn't say 6,000 what? Yeah, I took it as deaths, but it's
just that every night when I check CNN, they're like, they say that they did like 300 strike missions, or they launched, and it's just these huge numbers. And then when I watch the impacts, like I said, they're dropping big buildings and 14-story apartment buildings seemingly, and blowing up mosques, and they are going about as hard as they've ever gone. But if they go in there and land, that'll be a shit show. That'll be something I don't know that we've seen. I mean, Fallujah
they don't
was
really
that.
Need to. Like they have such control over the situation.
They want to go in there and get their people, and they want to go in there and like get their hands dirty too. Frankly, I think they want to go in there and like get them.
Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm close on that. Maybe not perfect. Is kind of hardcore about fighting. That's his thing. Yeah. And he's being sued. He was like about to go to prison or something. Like he was doing poorly. He's not popular, etc. And now they're rallying around the flag, and they're glad they have a hawk in there. So
yeah, it's a right-wing government. I know that. a particularly right-wing government. And then I saw a picture of him, I think from the 70s, maybe 71 or something, of him in his military fatigues holding a gun, like a fit, good-looking guy. Yeah, they're in their 9/11 post 9/11 American flag on every car mode, and they didn't really have a good George Bush at the rubble moment. They missed that part of the saga, but I feel like they're going to follow through with an Afghanistan imminently. I don't know a ton about your religion, Harley, but is there any belief in a satanic demons, an afterlife of punishment and pain?
No. But I think there's like what's it called? What's that in between? What's that word again?
Purgatory.
Purgatory. I think there's some form of that.
It's a never-ending line.
We got golems. I think we got golems.
Yeah,
I think there's golems.
It never moves
in there.
The golem is interesting. There was an X-Files episode about a golem. From my understanding via X-Files, it's when a Jewish religious person uses some sort of magic or something to create like a clay monster man that he can sort of control and puppeteer to go do his bidding and
now dig the tunnels. Dig deeper. Now come scratch my back.
Now press this elevator button. It's Shabbos.
Don't you hear the phone?
Don't you hear the phone?
That's
now,
my Shabbos golem.
I need you to kick this marble down this Rube Goldberg machine.
But by the way, I respect that.
On.
I respect that hypocrisy and that faith so much, and maybe it's not even hypocrisy. Maybe it's the loophole, because you see it in every single religion. Okay, when I went up to Ohio to do some gun shit, we met these Amish people. There was an Amish man working in the machine gun shop building machine guns, and I was asking him all about his shit. He was like 3/4 Amish. I don't mean like racially speaking. I mean like
he whacks off.
As far as how strictly he follows whatever their codes are of living like it's still 1869. Yeah, somewhere in between. Like he had a machine gun with a suppressor on it. He's like, "This is my baby." And I was like, "You have a phone?" He's like, "Well, at the end of our driveway, there's a little shed that has a phone in it. And you go out there because it's technically off our property, but the county lets us do that." And I was like, "So how do you have like buggies and horses? How do you farm?" And he's like, "I have a John Deere, whatever the number was, 3180 or whatever the fuck." I'm like, "What, you own a tractor? That doesn't seem." He's like, "Well, I don't own it. The John Deere dealership holds the title. I owe them $1 still." Like, they keep it like that. Yeah, little workarounds, little loopholes.
I gotta say,
everyone's Jewish, bro. Literally, everyone's Jewish.
Everyone is.
Yeah,
Dude, I know some people.
Everyone's got the little scams and stuff, and the moves and the loopholes. Everyone's got it. Everyone's got their Shabbos golem.
They're just jealous because like Jews seem to be the best at it. Like they're finding little loopholes with their tunnel. I bet the tunnel was some workaround where it's like you can't get delicious cured beef on Saturday walking down the sidewalk, and they're like, "I won't be stopped." And make a tunnel.
I can't believe the Jews took tunnels as their thing. Like it wasn't even their thing. They can't even just leave tunnels alone. Like that's now theirs,
Yeah, Jews doing tunnel stuff. I feel like if fucking
hummus,
Himmler
tunnels,
or if Goebbels had presented like a sample poster before it went to production to Hitler and was like, "Mein Führer, look, they are tunnel people like dirty rats." Hitler'd be like, "Yeah, but like maybe a little nuance, maybe something to get the mind working."
Jews coming out of the tunnels, like Hitler's literally like called it.
This is unrealistic. They don't tunnel like animals.
Now, I am no fan of them, but this is crazy, Joseph. They're not living in tunnels. And then meanwhile, Joseph just got bags under his eyes like that one dude in New York who's like, "I knew I heard people fucking dancing under there."
That guy probably believes in 30 different conspiracy theories, but it turned out there were, in fact, Jews tunneling under his home.
Think about that guy just in the context of like an A24 horror movie, and he's like, his wife, he's like, "Shh, there's Jews under the floors."
Here are the divorce papers. I'm going to need you to sign here and initial here.
And they're like,
listen,
like he's obsessed. Quiet. He's obsessed with the Jews.
If you're really quiet, you can hear the Seinfeld theme.
It's like a flashlight in an endlessly dark hallway.
That would be a good A24 movie. Did you see a Barbarian, by the way?
Yeah,
I saw that.
Imagine if downstairs in Barbarian, you feel like it was down the dark hallway and you heard like, you'd be like, oh fuck, Tunnel Jews, Tunnel Jews. Tunnel Jews, the horror movie. It's crazy.
Is it? I think is it just the hyper religious Jews that were tooling around in the tunnels? I don't think like the sandwich or pickle Jews were down there. Like
pickle bagel Jews weren't down there. I don't think.
No, they're busy making delicious treats for us all to enjoy.
Yeah.
I had lots.
These Jews would spit on those Jews if those Jews were in the tunnels.
Really, the religious ones would see the sandwich Jews and they'd be pissy.
I think they spit on mailmen.
Oh,
spit on mailmen?
Yeah,
that's rude.
Yeah.
Why the fuck? I don't like
because they don't want to pay taxes, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh,
fuck out. We have our own system. They deliver mail in a series of tunnels. There's just one high up rabbi in New York who won't let the tunnel idea go, and everyone else.
Menachem Mendel.
What does that mean?
It's just a guy. He's like the last guy that made that. That's like he's all those types of Jews. This is their boy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've been following the Israeli conflict. I don't know if y'all are aware that's still going on.
Still, bro. It's like what the fuck,
dude? Like fucking
like my entire life. What the hell?
It feels like it's been going on for a minute.
They're so close to solving it though, just like fucking right there.
Just a little bit more money, a couple more bucks,
just a couple more dollars. What do you need them for? I just am asking for $2 billion. What's a quick $4 billion? $6 billion and this is over.
I love when Biden was like, look, you can have all the rockets, the missiles, the self-defense. Here's the machine guns. Here's the ammo for them. Here are the grenades. Here's some poison gas. Don't say shit about it. But look, you can't have any more 2,000-pound bombs. We haven't dropped those since World War II. What are you doing? And they were like, America has abandoned us in our hour of need.
Did they really say that? That's not
fair. It became a whole thing.
I think I've heard some stuff like I heard they're like that's enough for now, and they're like, I can't believe that you've done this to
us. Dude, they're 2,000-pound bombs. I think they're dumb bombs, as in you're just like, looks about right, drop it. Like and you've seen the battlefield. That part I was like, that's wild. And then look, I know what propaganda is, but I can't always sift through the propaganda and how horrific the world can actually be sometimes. But they were saying, this Arab guy on the street, they were saying there were lots of reports that the IDF was using dogs to rape Palestinian prisoners. He's like, they bring in special trained dog to humiliate prisoner in terrible way. And I was like, Jesus Christ. That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
I saw that.
That gets my propaganda alarm spinning.
But they had I saw that clip, and I did see, like, not long after, they showed footage of an IDF dog that was attacking like a Palestinian woman. But then later it was found out that dog was no longer with the IDF. Like, they had taken the dog was found dead, and it had they had like strapped it to explosives, so whoever goes to the dog to get it, it was booby trapped, and that dog had the footage. That footage came from that dog, and that dog's camera, and it was not like with the IDF when that scenario was happening with the women. So it was like a lot of dog talk, and then they said that the IDF were raping the prisoners with dogs.
Yeah,
and then like I remembered that girl Brianna, that reporter, she had like a hostage's sister on, and that hostage's sister was like, these hostages, they've been coming back and saying that they've been sexually assaulted. And she was like, ugh, and like rolled her eyes at that, and she ended up losing her job. But I just thought it was funny that like this woman who was sister of the hostage was like, yeah, they're they're being raped out there. And she was like, yeah, right. And then they were like, yeah, the IDF have dogs. And she was like, the Zionist dog is raping people. That's 100% believable.
Yeah.
Like rolling your eyes at the person, but then being, anyways. But you never know everything. Everything we never know, right?
Yeah.
It's true. There's no way to know.
The dog was circumcised, so I'm suspect.
Every dog is. That's why we do it.
No.
We do it. We based it on the dogs.
Mm.
Look at that thing. Look at that. Don't you like that?
Do you wish you had like a belly sheath for your penis? Keep it out of the way when
during
you're doing,
COVID. I did
doing sports.
During COVID, I earned one. Trust me.
Put on some pounds. Just
I had to like take my fingers and like push fat back to like piss.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, I don't know what Woody's issue is. He's either completely forgotten that we moved, even though we all sort of, said we'd be here, or he's just in a lot of, he's hurt, somewhere in a cornfield,
He's in trouble
somewhere.
with some gangs.
He's been flying over their turf.
I mean, there's no way they'd like that. If he started a gangland like warfare.
No.
Like
An
just
Israeli
biker gang shit.
It's an Israeli
bikers,
who
the IBF.
It's an Israeli who is traumatized from the October 7th para attacks, and he moved to North Carolina, and then he sees Woody coming one day. They're here to finish us off, and he just went anti-air on Woody.
Sarah, they found us.
I told you they never stop looking.
I have a very specific and silly set of skills. I will fly at you. You will hear me coming.
By the way, that's how Mossad rolls. Like post World War II, they would send these little hit squads down to South America, and they'd scoop up Nazis, and they'd like beat the shit out of them, tie them up, and sneak them out of the country all the way back to Israel, then put them on trial and kill them.
Wow. So they were just suspecting random blonde guys named Hans, little bigoted.
They're like, he'll do. Look at him.
Family
It
has
looks like
been
he
here
would've.
for 20, 30 months. Like that's how that would go. They'd get them.
There's still those German communities down there in South America. Like the architecture is like turn of the century German, and like you said, like so many Nazis fled there. It's
How
weird.
competent, like when you think about like Mossad and CIA and these like how competent are we talking?
I think they're pretty competent. Like
medium
CIA.
So like the most publicized and famous examples of their competency would be after, was it Black September at the Munich Olympics? This terrorist group kidnapped several Israeli athletes and tried to sneak them out of Greece onto a plane back to wherever they were from, Syria or I don't know. And there was a huge shootout. All the Israeli hostages died. All the bad guys died. And the country was embarrassed and they wanted revenge. And they sent Mossad into Europe to get it. They wanted anyone who'd had a hand in that attack. And they kept killing. And they killed the guy who would replace the guy. And I'm talking about shootings, bombings, stabbings, every way you can imagine. There's a really good movie about it where you go, they put explosives in this guy's phone, and then they sit outside and they call him, and the phone opens, and he blows himself up with C4. But the movie's called Munich. And then obviously
they also timed sending anonymous flowers and condolence for the person's loss, like at the same time, so they would be like, what are you talking about? And then would find out later that happened. But that's it's also like a movie. It makes it and that movie's interesting because they're not fully competent. There's some major fuck ups and there's beef amongst their ideologies. And then there's this crazy scene where they're paired up, sharing a room with the guys that are their targets. And they're all both groups are trying to play it cool. Those guys don't know that they're Israeli though, because they're Israeli. They look like 5 different types of people.
Yeah.
And it's just a crazy scene, and they keep changing the radio. They can't agree on the radio, 2 of them. The Jewish guy goes over and puts on a song, and the Arabic guy goes over and changes it, and then they go and they agree on something. But that's always like Hollywood, you know? And like when I hear about it, like all that stuff, I remember I did like a project on it back in the day. We had to do all these, it was just, we had to base it on a movie and do a project. And like, I actually ended up doing it on, not Munich, something else, but like about the same thing. And I wonder, like, because that makes it sound really competent, like bombing a phone and sending the thing like flowers to them and hunting them down and sending agents to other countries that speak a different language. And I think about like the level of competency that like it would take to organize some mass crazy event, like to like some world changing event that's like planned and you guys did it, but oh, you goofed up because you were dancing at the scene. At this, it just doesn't seem likely that the level of competency to orchestrate that is also the same level of competency to actually dance and take pictures in front of it. So that's where I'm always like, yeah. Like, so I don't believe that, you know, these guys were Mossad agents there. I know there's like that whole story is refuted and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just like, it's crazy that people's idea of the competency is to execute something like that, but also be dancing there. And I wonder if it's like, damn, if the CIA, Mossad, and these like organizations that we don't even know about, if their level of competency is super high, then everything that we know and theorize about now is part of the plan. Like everything we're doing now, sometimes I'm just like, everything that's happening now, if there really is like a secret organization, like a secret, like pulling the strings, then this is literally all part of the plan.
Yeah. Or they're probably just a mixed bag. Like there's parts, like some missions go off without a hitch for the CIA, Mossad, whatever, like of the like S tier intelligence agencies, and then other ones like Bay of Pigs or whatever are just, you know, it's the same people. It just doesn't pan out.
Yeah, it seemed like Cuba we really struggled with. Maybe it was because we didn't have agents who could infiltrate, or maybe that everyone was just a true believer down there, like in Castro's regime, because they tried to kill Castro on several occasions. They tried poisoning him. They tried dosing him with LSD prior to a speech so he'd be wacky and lose confidence. They tried poisoning him in a way that would make his beard fall out because that was like his thing. They tried poisoning him and killing him, and they failed every time. And then the Bay of Pigs thing as well, another like huge. And if you look at the Bay of Pigs,
but then his level of competency is like, they're like, "Are you scared?" He's like, "No, I have a son, a secret son, part of my plan. And we won't benefit right now, but one day we will benefit. We will invade from the inside."
Dude, I'm so just looking at those pictures. The pictures are all I have to see to be like, oh fuck, Trudeau's Castro's kid, 100%. Have you seen what Trudeau's like supposed dad looks like?
I've seen it.
He may as well be Japanese. That's how little they look alike. And then you see like the same nose hump, the same like side silhouette from him and Castro.
Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I love Benjamin Netanyahu, or you know, whatever it is about Israel. It's like, you know, does Israel do all the things that I would have done if I were Israel? No, but there's something weird about, you know, my university having Netanyahu hanging, like a hanging effigy from the gates, and he's like wearing striped pajamas. So it's like, I don't know about this Jew in striped pajamas that you have hung up at my university, but like that stays there. And like, you know, they gave out pamphlets with like encouraging people to like come for this summer camp thing. And there's like on the pamphlet, there was a dude with an AK-47. And like that, like is weird because it's like, well, I'm not saying freeze their bank accounts either, and they shouldn't, and I'm not saying that, but now double the fact that you shouldn't have froze Freedom Convoy bank accounts.
Why do they have the ability to freeze bank accounts? Like, there should be one with that power. Like, for that to happen, it should be like someone from Homeland Security. I don't know what your equivalent is, but they're the terrorist guys that we invented in 2001 to watch over us and protect us,
safe,
wrap us up like a blanket in the night and look at our emails. So those guys would contact like Bank of America or what have you and be like, hey, this Harley guy, we
Yeah.
got to freeze all his money.
This guy's got a lot of fertilizer for living in an urban area.
Yeah, either he's got a huge putting green or we're in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
they shouldn't be
that's
able to freeze anyone's bank accounts. It's
But
fucking
being able to, like-
wild.
I think they did something with their PayPal's too. Like they froze donations that were coming through on PayPal also.
I saw that. Like sites
was
like
some crazy
GoFundMe
stuff,
will
yeah.
do that all the time.
By the way,
and
you know
so
what's
like
crazy about that?
if you like uploaded a picture of your ID and then it was like hold your camera up and it'll take a picture of your face. It'll like confirm like, all right, this is the same person that's on the ID, and then you get a little check mark or whatever it is next to your name, so you can tell who's verified.
I had that on Twitter so that you could like collect monetization from it. It does that thing. It's like prepare your passport and be in a lit up room because we're about to fucking film everything, bro. But it's crazy because you do that and you did it for the dating app, and all of that information got sent to Mossad agents.
Yes.
And when you say anything bad on social media, like you don't want to give any more
I've been
of your
3D
money,
scanned
they're gonna know that it was you.
Yeah.
And just watch out for your phone, bro.
They're gonna frame me.
They're your phone. They're gonna fucking.
They're gonna hack
blow your
my
head
phone.
up. They're gonna blow your
Oh,
head up.
shit.
No, I continue to stand with Israel. I think they've been a little heavy-handed in some of the civilian population.
Yeah, but you
areas of
like that,
Palestine.
eh?
But I'll tell you what
that,
else.
Kyle?
I like what they're doing in Lebanon. I bombing. Dude, we keep talking about the walkie-talkies and the cell phones. That was only like 4,000 people that got blown up. They're bombing constantly in Lebanon, and every day it's like 100 dead or something.
Well,
and every day they're like, they got a guy's picture, and they're like, this guy was third in command. It's like, you killed the third in command like 8 times this week.
I know. That's the new third in command.
Can
But
you
know-
imagine the promotion? Like, Hamid, I got some good news.
You're like,
Some bad
What
news.
about this photo? That was a very dangerous child.
Wait, the thing is
Baby-
though,
Baby face
like
terror.
before, it's just it's what sucks for them is it's not judged equally because the attempts by Lebanon, by Hezbollah specifically, not Lebanon, Hezbollah,
Lebanon,
the attempts by them are multitudes exponentially higher than Israel's response. So since October 7th, Hezbollah shot 9,000 rockets at Tel Aviv. Now it's so easy to be like, I don't want my money paying for bombs in Israel. And like, I totally get that. But you don't actually always pay for bombs. Like you might not be paying for a bomb.
Their healthcare.
Your tax money actually prevents a genocide in many ways because 9,000 rockets does equal 1 million deaths. If you shot 9,000 rockets and you get 100 people with each rocket, and this is a very populated part, it's the whole country. The country's small. This is 1 million people. They wanted to kill 1 million people when they shot rockets at Tel Aviv.
They blew up that playground like a month ago and killed all the little children.
Yeah. But the thing is, they stop all of these, so they're ineffective. But they wanted to, so they do that, and then it kills one child. So what they do is they drop a bomb in Beirut, which is like, yo, that's fucked up, dude. And it's like, well, yeah, you shot 9,000 at our capital. We just happened to hit you, and in fact, we hit one guy. We hit one person. We chose one person and killed that guy. If Israel shot 9,000,
like hundreds of people, maybe thousands at this point of innocents are being killed in Beirut, right?
Okay, innocents.
I think there's a lot. I feel so bad.
Dude,
records.
Beirut is not
Come on.
Afghanistan. They've got like bars and like nightlife.
Oh,
and shit.
you think
Like,
they're hitting the good part of town where the bars and the nightlife are? I bet there's some parts of St. Louis where I could drop a 2,000 bomb and mostly hit criminals.
But
I won't argue with you.
I feel bad. I feel bad for Lebanon, but like
the rubble, the dogs would sniff for days before they found an innocent.
a main difference though is when you live in Lebanon and Israel's like, leave this area, we're about to bomb it, you can go. In Palestine, they weren't allowed to go. Hamas was like, stay the fuck there. You're going to die for this shit, and it's going to be good for Palestine. Like, this is a bit different.
But that's not any more fair than the Lebanese government, or Hezbollah rather, not the Lebanese government. Hezbollah saying, oh, Israelis, get out of this area. We're sending rockets. It's like, well, they shouldn't have to leave. Like, they're living there. Like those people in Beirut.
But they
don't
never
do that.
they
They
target
don't.
they target Tel Aviv on purpose. They never ever said leave.
But they
No one
targeted
has
Beirut
ever said
And they
to
don't get
anyone
warning.
in the Middle East, leave before we bomb it, except for Israel. Not a single country there has ever said, leave, we're about to bomb it.
But wait.
I mean,
Wait.
they're
I think
telling you to
all
leave.
Palestine says is leave.
Yeah, that's all that most of these Middle Eastern countries, if we're just coming at it from their perspective, all of their positions are leave.
Leave what?
Like leave the
Israel.
Middle East. We don't want you to be here. That's what.
That's
Not
their
saying
whole
not
thing.
saying that, not saying
But
that's
when
right or
Israel
wrong.
is
But that
like,
is their
hey,
point.
I want you to leave your country. Everyone's like, oh, how
No.
generous and
I'm
kind of
saying
them.
Israel's
No, I
like,
heard every word, but
yeah, they're like, leave this area. We are bombing this area
We are
of your
bombing the most
country.
populated
Don't
city
be
in
there.
Lebanon.
Everyone else who's like, well,
You know
you
what they do?
leave.
They give a neighborhood.
If you tell Israel to leave, if everyone in Israel, you have to get up and go. There's nowhere for those people to go. You understand that, right? There's not a single country that I'm allowed in all around
live
there.
in Canada.
Right. As a Jew with Israel stamped on my passport, I would never fly over Syria because God forbid they have to do an emergency landing. I don't ever want to
Now,
be
now
there.
this is just a silly argument.
Because the king of the Jews.
Jews live in every Western country just fine.
Okay, so if it's river to the sea, how does an Israeli leave Israel? Where do they go? Let's say Palestine is free, Israel's gone. Where
the
is
answer.
he going? Yes.
New Jersey. I was there.
New York.
They've done it before.
It's very difficult to actually come to the USA. That's a really difficult thing. However, every country around there has the exact same culture as Palestine. Why
Muslim.
doesn't Egypt take Palestinians? Oh, they did before, actually. Why doesn't Jordan, which actually 75% of what Palestine was exists in Jordan? Why doesn't Jordan take Palestinians?
Well,
oh,
it's
wait,
because
they have before.
refugees are an enormous drain on the system. And so saying, all right, you have to take these millions of people, most countries are going to go,
That's
no,
Palestine.
that's a huge drain.
Jordan is literally 75% of what Palestine was is in Jordan. Now, if they want Jerusalem, I understand. Religion is powerful.
Mhm.
Israel gave half of Jerusalem to Palestine. They go to the same wall and pray. They're allowed to be there.
Is the
You could do
argument you're
that.
making that Israelis and Palestinians are equally unlikable and unpopular?
I'll tell you that, yes, right now, probably to the rest of the world, yeah. But like realistically, when 800,000 Palestinians had to move and they were kicked out, 800,000 Jews were kicked out of Arab countries at the same time in response. So this is the way that the cards fell. This is where we are. Saying like Israel isn't going to exist just isn't realistic because no country would do that. You would never rescind your neighborhood to Native Americans. You would never do that. That didn't
Never
involve
without a
you.
fight.
Yeah,
let
but
me
like
say, I'm
so-
allowed my black powder musket and my tomahawk, and I have seen Mel Gibson's The Patriot no less than 15 times. It will go poorly.
there's a lot of places that could take these people in, but they don't.
Filthy
So it's
savages.
Israel's responsibility. They don't want that. When I see that Hezbollah shot a rocket and killed a kid, I'm like, dude, leave them the fuck alone. You shot 9,000 rockets and killed one child. So I'm like, not that like feeling bad for a Hezbollah dude who got his pager blown up or walkie-talkie blown up, or a guy that went to go meet in a meeting. Like,
Yeah,
it's
we're
like,
not either. To be
I
clear,
think
like
about,
we don't care about Hezbollah.
of course, but it's just like
innocents are being killed in droves in these conflicts.
but like much more in Yemen.
Like 6
Do
million.
you know how many Muslims die in China, in Africa? But we only care about this is literally the smallest Muslim population affected
have a
out of
reason for
all the
that.
Muslim like genocides that are happening. Uyghurs in China are literally thrown in concentration
use that
camps
word here.
by the millions.
But Harley, we're funding the
that's what you're
Israeli
saying.
thing. That's my objection. I know
Well,
that
you're funding the
I'm sound-
Palestinian one
I
too, by
sound-
the way.
Right. And I sound biased sometimes because I'm always pointing out the Israeli mistakes. I get it. Sorry, Mom. But really, I just want to withdraw America from this conflict.
Yes.
Both sides are killing civilians. Both sides are bad. If this was Reddit, everybody sucks here.
So what do you do?
We
I don't
leave
do
the
a
Middle
darn
East
thing.
to
Let
their
me know when
shit.
it's over.
Yeah. I could not care less about Israel or Palestine or Hezbollah or Iran. Our involvement in this region of the world is a catastrophic failure.
You don't think it's a good idea to keep the Strait of Hormuz working?
Horrible idea.
You don't like your electronics arriving in a timely
we couldn't do that. We didn't have that for a long time prior to all this. And
you
so,
like driving your internal combustion engine? Like,
what are you talking about?
I'm talking about securing the
there's
Strait
a
of Hormuz.
lot of things.
You know how oil works is we go to Saudi Arabia and we go, how much oil can we buy? And they go, here's the oil. The idea that we would go into the Middle East, spend $3 trillion on a war in order to buy $80 billion of oil is, if I spent $100 million on the most high-tech robbery equipment on earth to break into your house and steal everything you own, did I do a smart thing or am I retarded because I could have bought it off of you for much less? That's the situation in the Middle East. They are willing to sell us as much oil as we want.
I don't know what we're talking about. I'm talking about what happens if we pull out and our aircraft carriers aren't there to let Iran know they better not do anything. Then Iran can respond, and then we have to go.
No, we don't. Not if we cut ties with all these countries that don't benefit us.
Just us all
I
alone
hear
on
Kyle,
this bill, I guess.
and the Strait of Hormuz thing. I'm like, maybe I'm being short-sighted because it is a major shipping channel, and apparently the whole world's supply chain gets messed up if one boat goes sideways.
Israel doesn't secure
Trump
that.
pulled some. U.S. secures that, and Trump made some changes.
Yeah, and so the idea that we need Israel to secure that is, I think, incorrect. Like what it seems to be in the Middle East is that
you're right. It's definitely incorrect.
Iran. So Iran wants a regional conflict with Israel.
No, they don't.
But no. But they don't want a conflict with the United States because the U.S. will dominate Iran. We may have a ton of losses. It'll cost $1 jillion, but we will win in the end. And so the idea is that, however, if Israel and Iran engage in a purely regional conflict, Iran will likely win that because they're a larger nation. So what Israel wants is for the U.S. to intercede on their behalf in this conflict because Israel cannot defeat Iran by themselves, but we will easily
Do you think
defeat
Israel
Iran.
has nuclear weapons?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I think Iran might.
Iran doesn't.
They might. You never know.
The type to be able to, if they have it, they've never tested it.
Iran has something worse than nuclear weapons.
If you've never tested it, you can't. You don't have a nuke.
Iran has ballistic missiles and they have fissile material. They could make a dirty bomb. There was this idea that came about in the early 50s. And actually, even before that, it was written about in Popular Science magazine called Death Sand. And the idea is irradiating a lot of sandy particles with an irradiate that has a half-life of, say, 70 days or 150 days. There's several really potent radioactive materials that are like that. And then dropping huge clouds of sand over an area, and it would kill everyone there in a few days.
That's incredibly scary.
And then after a few months, it's no longer irradiated. None of the structures were blown up because, again, you're using a radioactive material that every 70 days it becomes half as radioactive.
Sorry if I missed it. Iran is researching this, or we figured this out?
Oh, this was our thing.
Oh, this is our. Of course, it is.
We almost used this on the Chinese in North Korea to deny an area to them, like 100 miles long. Was it 100 miles wide? Because that seems extreme.
I don't
like 100
move that
miles
much
wide.
sand.
You wouldn't use actual. Well, we're good at that. If anybody's good at moving a lot of like stuff and dropping it somewhere, it's up. Have you seen that Galaxy plane that we use to ship stuff? They put smaller planes in it. They flies tanks around.
It's a plane that flies planes.
It's a plane that flies planes that fly planes. It's great.
There's an autistic listener right now, like, or he's like, it's the Lockheed C5 Galaxy, large military transport designed and built by Lockheed.
So I've always said that, like, Iran.
Can I see a picture of the Galaxy plane, Zach?
Yeah, show that plane. Show it, and if you can find like its wheels, like rotate 360 degrees and pop, and they also the plane can squat. It's enormous. It's gargantuan. But anyway, with the Israel's always at the UN showing a ticking clock of like how long it'll be till Iran has their nuclear weapon, and they call that like Israel's doomsday. And I just don't think that Iran is wanting that business because they could do something like I just described with a ballistic missile that they have plenty of.
Big. I think I've been on bigger planes than that. Am I crazy?
Yeah.
Oh, they definitely want. They definitely want
helicopter in the back.
Yeah, but
They definitely want nuclear
747 has like 2
capabilities, though.
floors and stuff. Like it. Am I? I need to Google.
I mean,
looks
come on,
big.
dude.
Yeah.
It looks like the blue whale of planes. Look at the landing gear down there. How there's like lots and lots of wheels. Oh my
I did
God.
see a
There's,
plane
like,
on the
multiple
side that
Abrams
looked like
tanks.
it could fit in there.
That's crazy.
Under the
and
wing, there was like a
the world's
like a
biggest
stealth
plane that ever
drone looking
flew
thing.
was in Ukraine. The Russians destroyed it. I can't remember the name of it. That's crazy. That's
such
like
a tight fit.
yeah, that's like a smaller plane fuselage or whatever. Like the whole structure going in. That's cool. Yeah, I bet we've got a bunch of those. I bet we don't have 5. I bet we got 50 or something stupid like that.
That's the craziest thing is I looked at like the capabilities of the U.S. Army, and there were things that were like on par, like men, the amount of infantry and blah blah blah. Sometimes U.S. getting destroyed. Then it went to like boats and airplanes, and it was multitudes more. You're just like, whoa, there's so many fucking planes, so many fucking boats, like crazy carriers. But I spoke to a friend of mine who's on a boat, like a ship, U.S. Navy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, sometimes we do like these like ride bys, where like we know that we're like patrolling water, and the Chinese are patrolling, and like we'll be coming up to the Chinese ship, and so we're all told to like go to our stations, and we're all there, and we like slowly pass them and like look at them, and they look at us, and like we're like 50 meters away from each other, which is really close in these big boats, and they're just like cruising by each other." And I'm like, that's so crazy. I'm like, is there anything ever like anything crazy out there you see? He's like, well, he was like, I don't know if the upper people already know about this and have sorted it out or whatever. He's like, but we've been there before, and we'll always know that, you know, a Chinese ship is going to come over the horizon in like 5 minutes. We'll see that. But what's happened lately over the past like year or so is we'll be out there, and then all of a sudden we see a Chinese ship with our eyes, probably like, you know, 600 meters away. But the problem is, if you see it, it's too late. And it never showed up on our readings before we saw it by eye. So I don't know if like the higher ups know of a new technology or something or whatever it is.
Chinese.
But he's like, for us, it's fucking weird when all of a sudden there's a big ass Chinese ship there that's as big as ours, and we didn't know it was going to be there, and now we see it. And it's probably, if you're in that position, you're like, oh shit, like, surprise, are we getting attacked? Like, that's probably like,
I have 100% confidence in the United States military.
Me too, especially the Navy.
That, have you seen that manta ray thing they have now?
Does it scare you though that like eventually that won't be the case?
It never will be the case.
That's
if
what
you keep
Roman
pushing for it, bro, that's exactly what'll happen, Taylor.
How long did Rome last? How long did Rome last?
1,000 years. Well,
right.
from like, well, the Roman kingdom in like 700 BC up until the fall of the main Roman Empire.
That we only have 750 years left.
No, there's never been a democracy that's lasted longer than 270 years, right?
Is that us?
No,
we're not a democracy,
I don't know.
Taylor.
I haven't
You
done
know
it.
that.
Oh my god!
We're a
You know what scares me? What's a great, I think it's a good question though that he asked.
I make that distinction because I'm a Republican.
I think it's actually like, when I think of it, like, I think it's scary the future being different than the one that I thought we were going towards. And it is like, you know, like I said, I love living in Montreal. I love Canada. It is a mosaic of cultures, and I love that. But here is here. And I don't want here to stop being here. And I fear that
it
in
always
the future,
will be.
that thing that here won't be here. Here will be more like somewhere else.
I looked it up, Kyle. I went full autism on this thing. It looks like a galaxy is about 20% bigger than a 747.
I bet the lift capacity.
That's true. We are the longest existing democracy as the U.S. in global history.
There's a good book here I linked. It's called The Next 100 Years. Very interesting stuff. He talks about, I don't know.
The first note is like, we're pretty much almost there.
Just one last thing. On the plane, my autism demands this.
Yes.
747 carries the space shuttle around. Just saying.
Not anymore.
And also, Woody, I would love if you would lead into facts more often with "My autism demands this." It's a very funny way to preface a sentence. My autism demands this, but that is a tortoise, not a turtle.
It's just how you should ask to get. It's just ask how you should. It's how you should like start intimacy with your wife.
You know what?
My autism is demanding something,
and their fucking propaganda, spilling some knowledge.
Hey, I'm in.
Yeah, shout out to Woody's mom, though. We're gonna keep fighting the good fight. We're doing it for the future, for you,
He's gonna trade
for
me in
everyone.
Shout out to Mossad. Shout out to Mossad.
Dude, I know we're wrapping up.
To the
phone
troops,
call,
both sides.
there was a point where she saw this Palestinian mother interviewed, and she was very happy about the damage they were doing to the Israelis. And my mom was like, they should kill her baby because that's what happened to the Israelis. And then like 10 minutes later in the call, my mom was celebrating the death of the Palestinian deaths, in civilians. And I'm like, Mom, they're gonna kill your son to make this fair. Like if you're gonna celebrate innocent deaths, then your kid
Dude,
should
I've
be
had
killed,
family
right?
members say some crazy shit about all this stuff. And I've heard it's an older generation thing. Like if you really think about it, they were far more disconnected than we were. I mean, they grew up like in wrestling. It's just like or movies. The bad guy was a person from another country. That's it. That's all. Just a person from another country. And
it always is.
It is. It is, but like it's true. Like I've heard relatives say some fucked up stuff, and I'm like, dude, we agree, but what you're saying is that's a whole other level.
Tristan,
Him and Brock.